Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Public Forum. Please turn your cell phones to vibrate, silence, or the off setting. The Gary Sansing Public Forum is intended for matters not included on the agenda for the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting. Citizens wishing to address items on the agenda should sign up to speak to such items at the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the Gary Sansing Public Forum. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We can live up to that today. We have 13 speakers, unless otherwise determined by the chair, to allow sufficient time for all speakers. At the chairperson's discretion, the Gary Sansing Public Forum may end 5 minutes prior to the scheduled start of the upcoming Board of County Commissioner meeting to allow the meeting to commence on time. Our first speaker is Megan Walters. And Keith Bowe, you're on deck. Megan, please come up. Is Megan not here? All right, last call for Megan Walters. Keith Bowe, you're up.
Thank you, y'all. I appreciate you. I just wanted to mention, and I spoke briefly with Wes Marino about these electric buses and how they're such a bad idea. They're not a good fit here. And the President of the United States and DOJ is going to take the money and take a look at it. We don't need to consider the electric buses, but I like what Wes told me, that we're going to have, I forgot what they're called, mini buses or
microtransit.
Yeah, let's go with that. There is no free money. $25 million from the government. It's probably stolen anyway. So let's go with the microbuses. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Dimitri Branca, if I got that right, please come up. And Chris Kerb, you're on deck.
Excuse me. Sorry. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for hearing me today. I'm here today to ask you to adopt a resolution that will save lives in your community and around the state. I'm a dad from Tallahassee. I drove here from Tallahassee this afternoon, leaving my business and my family to come speak to you because this is an important matter. I'm a man on a mission, and my mission is to save lives. I'm a member of the Florida Hands Free Coalition, and we are a group that consists of pedestrian groups, bicycle groups, insurance companies, law enforcement, nonprofit and for-profit entities, and we are asking the state legislature to pass a hands-free law in Florida, which would make drivers put their cell phones down while they are driving and doing the most dangerous thing that we do. In states that have and are enforcing this law, they have seen an immediate and measurable reduction by up to 25% in overall traffic fatalities. In Escambia County in 2024, there were nearly 6,000 crashes, resulting in nearly 5,000 injuries and 59 deaths. Statewide, that number is 380,000 crashes, 250,000 injuries, and over 3,000 deaths. My son Anthony was one of those victims. Anthony was a joy. Anthony was everything a parent could hope for. He was smart, he was resilient, he was strong, he was kind. He was the best big brother I've ever seen in my life. Anthony was on his way to school on a Friday afternoon when he was run over and killed by a man driving a van who knew better and decided to drive distracted anyway. Last year in 2024, with the help of many people, I was able to usher a meaningful, comprehensive, hands-free bill through the Florida House. It met with no resistance in any of the 3 committees that it was assigned to. Bipartisan, unanimous, unopposed support. In the Senate, it died in its first committee because the chairman refused to hear the bill. I sent an email to you last week with the draft resolution language, and I'm hoping that we can adopt that resolution here today, sending a signal to the Florida legislature that we need to protect those people who we love and ourselves. On our watch, people are dying, and we can curb that number significantly. I just found out in an email a few minutes ago that Alachua County today adopted this resolution that adds them to the list of Leon County, Union County, Collier County, Indian River County, who have already passed this resolution unanimously, adding their voices to the growing chorus of communities that want to do something about this.
Dimitri, thank you for your comments, and I'm sorry about your son. Thank you for driving over from Tallahassee. I appreciate your comments.
All right, thank you.
Chris Kerb, you're up next.
Chris Kerr, Flood Defenders. How y'all doing today? Or this evening? What are taxpayers' cost of the National Flood Insurance Program? Because flood insurance premiums do not cover flood damages cost. They're supplemented by the taxpayer. In 2023, our federal government accumulated a $36 billion deficit since 1968 when the National Flood Insurance Program was established. How much debt does NFIP have today? The Congressional Research Center reports between 1980 and 1985 to repay the NFIP debt, FEMA had to borrow $6.1 billion in November of 2017 to fund an estimated cost for including incurred by the Hurricane Harvey, Irma, Maria, increasing the debt to $20.525 billion. Since 2005, the NFIP has made 6 principal repayments totaling $2.82 billion and has paid $6.17 billion just in interest. For Escambia County, if you go to floodsmarts.gov, historical data claims, there's been $720,080,308 in claims for 11,776 National Flood Insurance paid claims. Well, what is bad about this dollar amount? What is bad about these number of claims? What's bad about it is it doesn't include those properties that are without flood insurance. For example, those areas that are located outside high hazard flood zones that are identified on our 100-year floodplains. Do you know our FEMA maps don't even identify all the 100-year floodplains? That would be properties also located around closed drainage basins like Andrew Blue and Mary Kanupka that don't have flood insurance next to the Hogan Pit. Of these properties that flooded in April 2014 in Hurricane Sally around the Wyndham Pond and the Felton Pond on the Muldoon and Softly Field area, those are also people that didn't have flood insurance. I've been told that project's going to cost $20 to $30 million depending on when it gets funded to give outfalls for county ponds in a closed basin.
Chris, will you wrap up your thoughts, because we've got 20 speakers now, so.
Yes, sir. I'm done.
All right, appreciate your comments. Georgia Brazil, you're up next. Is Georgia here? Okay, and Linda Baines on deck.
Good evening. My name is Georgia Brazell. I'm a resident and a landowner in Cottage Hill Cantonment, which is where the McKenzie Estates new subdivision is being proposed to add 404 more homes in this small community. I have great concerns about public safety that I would just like to speak briefly about. Cottage Hill is an enclosed community. It's encircled by railroad tracks. You can't get out of this community without either crossing over Highway 95A or turning onto Highway 95A. Even Phase 1 of this project is estimated to add another 300 cars to Cottage Hill roads. All 3 phases would conservatively add 800 cars. And recently, the Sanctuary subdivision added 169 homes. And we expect an increase in traffic from the new Circle K to be built at Quintet Road. Highway 95A is a 2-lane road. Traffic goes in excess of 50 to 60 miles an hour. We already have a traffic jam in front of Jim Allen School. The railroad is often closed for a train from 5 to 20 minutes at any time. The inability of emergency vehicles to get to anyone in Cottage Hill is already a problem, and with this increased traffic, it will be an increased hazard. If an evacuation should be necessary in case of, say, a hazardous spill, people will be unable to get out of that community in a timely manner. We respectfully request that the county and the developer lower the number of homes to be built and find some way to control traffic so that we can safely exit or enter our community before this project is allowed to go forward. And again, 800 cars is an unprecedented amount of additional traffic. In your own booklet, directory here, your mission statement is stated, the mission of Escambia County government is to provide efficient, responsive services that enhance our quality of life, meet common needs, and promote a safe and healthy community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for your comments. Ms. Bain, you're next.
My name's Linda Bain, and I also live in Cottage Hill on Elmer Road. Our property, we've got 11 and a half acres that butts up to the woods between Cottage Hill and Quintet Road. We own cows, we've got turkeys, guineas, goats, and with this new subdivision, we're already having problems with the wild animals coming on our property. I've lost a bunch of chickens. My next door neighbor also raises chickens, and she lost quite a few this past week, where these wild animals are coming up on our property and killing our livestock. And I mean, we depend on them. I mean, we use it for our own need, you know, for eating and stuff. But I'm concerned about that with the animals and also the wildlife as far as the gophers. And they've got the Gulf sturgeon that my son's talked about, where they're kind of protected. And those creeks that run through there are involved in that. And also, like Georgia said, we already are having problems trying to get off onto 95A to get out of our community. A few years ago, we had a train problem where it broke down, and all 4 roads, our only way out, was blocked for hours. And thank goodness nobody had an emergency to have an ambulance come for them, or we didn't need fire trucks that day. But it would not have been a pretty picture if something like that had happened. And I just, you know, wish that y'all would be watching about this community that's trying to come in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bain. Larry Downs Jr., you're next. Start the clock. Start it.
I brought a prop today. Larry Downs Jr. Plumbing, LLC, because fecal matters. Oh, man, Illuminati May, he took off. This was partly for him. How y'all doing today? Hope you are loving it. All right. Now listen, this is, I thought about this. My friend here, Rick Fry, he's been pointing out a lot of the obvious with the hexafluorosilicic acid that people like to call fluoride. But, you know, I've been doing it with the you know, the vaccines, the COVID super secret soft shots. So here we go. This was for Lumen. All right. Now I'm officially a tinfoil cowboy hat wearing man. Now y'all know this is appropriate because when you question the science, y'all have been conditioned. Everybody's been conditioned to immediately assume that person who questions vaccines, get the vaccine eye, look back. It's like, oh, those vaccines are bad. What? How dare you? How dare you? Almost like that, you know, that climate change little girl. How dare you? In the same way with the hexafluorosilicic acid that they call fluoride. Now, I went to that meeting, and it was very interesting. We got 4 board members that absolutely have been conditioned, indoctrinated, and brainwashed into believing that a toxic waste product from a, from a making fertilizer, phosphate, that they believe that that is good for even little babies that have no teeth. And you know as well as I do, Commissioner Kohler, that our largest organ on the human body is our skin, the epidermis, which absorbs toxins like crazy. That's the reason why I tell all these young males, don't do the Purell. Don't do, I call it hashtag hand sanitizer nation or tissue nation. Jesus, between the Purell and the tissue, that's about all we get around here. Your immune system needs, it needs to work. So stop doing the Purell and let's get a toxic chemical out of our water. Y'all can see that right there? Condition. And then he wonders why he needs medication. I'm just saying.
All right,
Anyways,
Larry, wrap it up.
I got 9 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Illuminati May, I got you today.
Your hat looks good. Gabriel Francis, you're up
Yeah.
next.
And that $3,000, Lumen, is to a charity of your choosing.
Thanks, Larry.
Show me that vaccine card.
We're going to get that microtransit so you can get a trip to D.C. I know you were real excited about it. You missed the bus.
Come on, let's keep going. Gabriel, you're up.
Hi,
Thank
my
you.
name is Gabrielle Francis. I serve as a goal-oriented achievement technician at Offensive Corp, where I work in case management at our low-barrier sheltered camp, Camp O. Currently, we are facing our sheltered camp being shut down by code enforcement issues, saying that we are not allowed to have tents on our property. I want to bring to you attention to the critical role that low-barrier camps play in addressing homelessness, particularly for women who have experienced trauma, including domestic violence and sexual trafficking. As you may know, there is no one-size-fits-all solution to homelessness. Many traditional shelters and housing programs unintentionally create barriers for those who need them most. Challenges such as co-ed environments, past trauma triggers, mental health struggles, and even the anxieties of being confined in a building prevent some individuals from accessing the support they need. At Camp O, we provide a self-paced, non-judgmental, trauma-informed space where women can begin their journey towards stability. Simple yet essential life skills such as using a restroom in a safe environment, relearning how to do laundry, and regaining confidence in social interactions. These are foundational steps for many of the women we serve. This setting allows them to rebuild trust, gain stability, and eventually transition into housing and employment at a pace that works for them. Women in our program have expressed that this is the first place they've truly been able to heal and progress and feel safe. We've seen firsthand the positive long-term impact of this approach, and I believe we must encourage a full spectrum of care options. One step toward this is allowing nonprofit organizations to provide structured, well-maintained, low-barrier encampments as a bridge for those not yet ready for traditional shelters. I ask for your support in recognizing the necessity of these programs and considering policy adjustments that would allow nonprofits like Offensive to continue this work. By embracing a broader range of solutions, we can make a meaningful progress in reducing homelessness and reintegrating individuals into society. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Gary Beadle, you're up next, and Suni Burke Walbeck's on deck.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary Beadle. I'm a resident of Cottage Hill, directly on the south side of Mackenzie Road. And I'm here because I spoke last month regarding the Mackenzie Estates project, which is being considered. What I've done is, in the meantime, I've gotten a contour map of the area, and it has an overlay on it of the Williams Creek area, which I took a walk this morning to take pictures of the contours and everything. And from the road, Mackenzie Road, to the backside of the county's retention pond, there is an overflow and a drop-off. It's essentially 40 feet from the road, about 75 yards away down there. From there, there is a path, a canyon, a gulch that wanders back for the overflow water there and meets up with a couple of ponds that are out there. And that's the area where it actually starts to become what you could call flat. However, there's standing water every place. And it has always been there in the 40 years that I've been living out there, actually more than 40 years. But I'm extremely concerned about the water situation there and the mention of needing to build a bridge. I can't fathom a bridge that would fit into a community out there. And for the 800 block to the 1,000 block, which I'm in, essentially the property there is in such a grade that it's all downhill, if not a drop-off. It's like the edge of civilization as far as I'm concerned. And so that's my concern for the water situation. I also have a photograph that I didn't take today, but it was made a while back of the school bus on the bridge on Mackenzie Road, which floods every time it rains. And the bus is sort of at a standstill. Now, it's not dead in the water there, but it's in about 8 to 10 inches of water, just in a picture from an average rain situation there. So I would be very concerned and hope that all of this gets considered very closely, because I cannot fathom this area being actually bridged or somehow contained so that all the water runoff will be handled appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beadle. Sunny Burke Wallabeck and Bill Wallabeck is on standby. 27.
Hello, it's Sunny.
Hi,
like
Sunny.
our great son. Okay, I want to thank you very much for bringing out a crane and pulling out the tree underneath Bower Road to allow us to have some water flow issues. I am here today to ask about fires. Since California is enduring, so could we on Bower Road. We have a lot of private citizens who own lots of land. We have the Navy base, and the only one who's doing anything is the state on their property. What do we do about the rest? Who is responsible to maintain the Navy base's woods? And who's responsible to notify the private homeowners of their land needing to be maintained? What do we do?
Are you asking us, ma'am?
Yes.
The forestry department is who we get permits for controlled burning. That's who does that with the county.
With the county. Okay, but what about private landowners? We've lived there since 2016, and there's never been anything done at the Navy or anything done by the private landowners.
Tim Forestry, they have to get a permit as well, right? Yeah.
Do they notify them to do it, or is it just as will?
It's odd you brought this up, because we had a fire out when I was out there with some folks off of Gulf Beach Highway, as well as the fire off of Gulf Beach Highway before you get to Old Gulf Beach Highway. And those fires were started basically from what it looked like kids playing with matches, from what I was told. But the other fire was a controlled burn that the forestry basically had permitted, and it got out of control. So the forestry is the one that basically gives permits for controlled burns.
Okay. So the citizens don't have to do it unless the forestry encourages them? Is that the law? What are the policies here for our community?
Tim Day, ma'am, if you don't mind, I'm not trying to cut you off, but he can give you all this. I think this is longer than a 3-minute conversation, so that you could understand it, because obviously none of us want to fire anywhere in the county.
Right.
It's very serious. You know, the people that our fire department got rewarded for their hard efforts out there that saved all those houses in that neighborhood off of Weller Road. But yeah, I understand when you're concerned.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
If there's something we can help you with, we will.
Me too.
Mr. Bill Wallabeck, are you here? Okay, there. Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm just going to kind of piggyback off what my wife was discussing. She discussed fire. I'm going to look at flood, and one of my main concerns, storm surge. I feel like I'm a weather guy. I like following the weather, and I feel like we're on bot time in Escambia County with major hurricanes, major flooding events. Chris mentioned 100-year events. I don't think we're quite ready for a 100-year event, let alone a 500 or, God forbid, 1,000-year event like they experienced in Western North Carolina. I just wanted to see if possibly you get with the Navy and their 8,000 acres that they're responsible for and set up some sort of plan, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan on looking at the properties, low-lying areas. I did see in an article in 2018, Escambia County bought some property near NAS as a buffer zone. That was primarily for security. Maybe look at some of these properties owned by the county and the Navy and seeing if we can do something about establishing a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan on flooding, but more importantly, storm surge. I just feel like we are on bot time here in Escambia County with a major hurricane looking, crazy weather. We just had 10 inches of snow. Who would have thought? In Florida, 10 inches of snow, but could be this summer Category 4 hurricane coming at us. And storm surge is a huge deal. Maybe also look at opening up a few more locations for sandbags and more encouragement on people being educated about the importance of looking at their properties and knowing where to go and how to get the supplies needed for a major flood event or storm surge event. I'm from Miami. I've experienced Hurricane Andrew in 1992 as a Cat 5, and it looked really, really bad. I can't even describe what we saw in 1992 with the storm winds and surge. There was a 56-foot barge pushed 3-4 blocks inland and deposited on the Deering Estate in Miami. Something that we could see here in the very near future. And if we look ahead and try to be a little proactive on storm surge and flood abatement, it's something that maybe we could work with the Navy with on getting a plan together so everybody's safe.
Thank you,
for
Bill.
your time.
Sonia Reese, you're up next. Teresa Blackwell, you're on deck.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Sonia.
On September 24th, 2024, Bayou Marcus Drainage Master Plan Project was approved. The county administrator was authorized to sign the agreement and issue a purchase order to HDR Engineering. I have 2 questions. What is the current status of the project? And why is this project not listed under the current projects on the Escambia County website?
I would rely on engineering to give a status update on the project, and I will verify that that project absolutely gets listed on the website.
Thank you.
Sonia, you can meet with engineering in the back for clarification if you want to.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Teresa, you're up next.
Good evening, Teresa Blackwell. I live in Beulah. I thought I was going to talk about OLF8 at this time, but it was added at the last minute to the end of the agenda tonight. So I wanted to say I have a Facebook group I moderate. It's nearly 1,000 people, plus we share that with other Facebook groups, and so we told them they'd be able to speak at this time, and this kind of happens a lot. So I would like for us to be able to know ahead of time when we're going to be able to speak, when something is going to be on the agenda. So that, and then since I have the time, I want to bring up something, put it on your radar. I'm not prepared to say a lot about it, but the Beulah Master Plan has been in process for about 3 years. Commissioner Berry earlier today said decisions that come back to bite us. I think this is one of them. We hired an engineer to do an urban planning job. So what we got, I have it now. I got it last night and I haven't had time to study it, but it's not going to be what we expected. We expected it to give us some help in Beulah to help moderate the type of development D.R. Horton has done with no street trees or sidewalks or, kind of shoddy building. We wanted a higher level of development. The people of Beulah have been inundated with this. And while we wait for this plan to come to us, more and more gets built, and it just needs to be addressed in one way or another. I don't think this plan does it. They have a list of charges that we can select them, and they'll do what we had expected they would do to start with. But I would not suggest hiring them to do it. Maybe we can do it in-house. Our people know how to do an overlay, probably. So it's just something I want to put on your radar. It's been submerged too long. I was waiting with OLF 8 for that to get settled, but it's something that needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Rudolph Coper is up, and Brad Bishop's on deck.
How you doing? I'm Rudolph Coper. I'm also speaking on behalf of Offensive in Camp O. I've been there for since our camp has opened with these women, and the things that I've seen in the area, it is like where it's at is exactly where we found out later on is where we've seen the most activity out of it and the most progress from it, and it's just like so many things, the way I've seen these girls' lives change just from the small time that it's been there and where it's been at and the numbers, and like we've been through, some have left, some have stayed, but there's been significant differences in the way some of these females look at, like there was women that would come there that couldn't even be close to a man, that had been assaulted, that had been, whatever life had thrown at them, and then being at their lowest, and watch them just get their energy about them in this, and it's like it seems like it's just a little camp, but it's so much more, and it's like for the things that they're saying that the reasons for it to maybe have to be rid of or whatever the case may be, I just. If anybody was to take a look into everything that was presented and what it does and what it offers and the outcome of what we do and what we do day in and day out and some of the results are seen, and if some kind of resolution can just be had to where what we can keep doing what we do day in and day out, we do it from our heart every day, and we see like fantastic results, like some of these women reuniting with their children, some of these women like realizing their identity again, where it's been compromised by some other individual that's controlled them, and all these things take place, and I've had relationships with each one of them personable to just learn about them, and what we offer is I went through all those motions myself, being a man with a lot of struggles, and to be able to see what we do and we're able and what they're receptive of, it's like it's a miracle, it's life-changing, and I just hope that we can find support and to be able to continue what we're doing in one way or the other, because we're making a difference, and that's the only reason why I wake up every day now, because I found my purpose, and it's helping Offensive and these ladies and the people and what we do.
Thank you, Rudolph, and thank you for your story. Brad Bishop, come on up. Jasmine Riviera is on deck.
Hello, I am Brad Bishop. I'm the founder of Offensive in Camp O. I'll say we did not start Offensive to start a camp for women. That kind of just happened. We started this to get Narcan out into the community. It would bring us into places like encampments, like Beggs. And speaking of Beggs, we played a major role as the front line in helping getting everybody moved out of Beggs. But with that, we came across a lot of women that needed a place to go. They needed to get into recovery. So we started going down the list. Some of them were even human trafficking victims, survivors. We went down the list of all the resources that say that they're for human trafficking survivors here in the county, or here in the general vicinity, Circuit 1. It was all closed doors. It was all rejection. For many different reasons. Some could be mental health. Some could be the substance use. But still, there was nowhere to go. One day, one of the ladies, just after door after door was closed, said, "Can't I just put a tent in your backyard?" knowing that the other option is her put up a tent outside on the streets, if she had a tent, behind a dumpster, or on Murphy Lane, like most of us have heard about what's going on in Murphy Lane. First thought in my head is nobody wants to stay in a tent. But when faced with it, how am I going to say, no, you can't put up a tent back here? How silly does that sound to this individual who has to go back out there and figure out what to do? So we did not start this to buck the system. It was started out of necessity. There was nowhere to go. So we understand that you cannot sleep in a tent in Escambia County. The city has some variance that allows for that, and I would like to ask the county if we could work together and maybe adopting some sort of variance that would allow a nonprofit to operate a small structure camp. Also, in the short term, we're asking that the county offer us some grace in working with the ladies that we're currently working with, so that they don't have to get displaced in the meantime while we have this case management, what's left. When we first got the violation, we had 13 women there. Right now, there's 8. The rest have transitioned out, so not everybody's at the same point in their transition. And so we would ask that, that y'all give us some grace and some time to work with them.
Thank you, Brad. Jasmine Riviera, please come up. I want everyone to get a chance to speak. We still have several speakers. I may have to cut down to 2 minutes, but I'm going to go just for now for a few minutes. But please move forward. And Stacy Studemeyer, you're up next.
Okay. I'm Jasmine Rivera with Offensive, and I'm here in regards to our Safe Women's Camp. We never intended on having a camp, but when the county came to us for help with the Beggs Lane closure, we discovered there was a huge need for a low-barrier women's camp. In doing so, we've been able to help many women stay safe, receive case management, and even help, some have transitioned on already. In doing all this, we haven't costed the county any money, as we have done all our efforts on our own. Many of our women were constant victims of sexual assault, physical assault, and theft regularly. But at our camp, they are safe. They have access to cook their own food that's provided by Helping Hands and Feeding the Gulf Coast, access to laundry, shower, restroom, and most importantly, case management and resources for mental health and substance use. These ladies can't sleep anywhere else right now. Sorry. I'm sorry, these ladies can't sleep anywhere else right now without getting arrested or stolen from them or assaulted. They have a safe place and a healing place at our camp. They deserve that. They deserve to be safe and to have a chance, and our camp does that. They aren't bothering anyone. They are on private property. They aren't in the community or camping anywhere they aren't wanted. They are working on themselves and bettering themselves, so if we can please work this out, whether it's rezoning or working with us till we can figure something out to where we don't have to put these vulnerable women back on the streets in harm's way, because the county doesn't want them on public property anyway. So please, please work with us so these women can have a chance they deserve. They have come so far in just a short time they've been at our camp. I believe this is crucial to have low barrier camps and structure camps to help with the houselessness issue, so we can focus on their substance use and mental health and other barriers that need addressed while they are living in a safe space to prevent further trauma and issues. I ask that you please consider working with us so these women can remain safe and working towards their goals. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Stacy Studemeyer, you're up next. And then Michelle Carpenter's next.
My name is Stacy Studemeyer, and I'm speaking on the Offensive Camp O. Even though it is a non-profit organization or whatnot, and they do have tents in the back or on their property, it's still a very helpful source for someone like me who is trying to work on getting my son back. But it's very hard when I have to be on medication, but if I'm on the medication, it's not possible to keep it stable while going from place to place, sleeping every night or whatnot. And Camp O has been very helpful since they started in many different ways. And hopefully y'all see it, that y'all can help us out in some kind of way with keeping this program going. It can help a lot of us out in so many ways. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Michelle Carpenter, you're up next. And Regina Locke, I think, is the next person on deck.
Hi, my name is Michelle Carpenter. I am at Camp O with Offensive. How I came across Offensive is I got choked out and
Ma'am, will you put the microphone so we can hear you?
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
That
I want to
better?
hear what you have to say.
Offensive found me when I was choked out and I had been raped. I was out in the front of a store, and one of the workers there, her name was Miranda, she came and asked what was happening, and I told her. She took a chance of losing her job at the store, keeping me out front. She called Offensive because she had been there. They called an Uber, and they got me right away and got me out of there and brought me to Offensive. I've been there. Unfortunately, I went to help a friend the other day, and I ended up being kept. And I ended up getting beat again. But they came to my rescue again. So they gotta stay. I got no place to go. They allow cats, dogs. I mean, they help you. They do everything for you and get you to where you go. You're not forced to do anything in a certain amount of time. No, like, forced religion. And it's structured, basically. The security cameras on the girls all the time. 2 of us are at least up all night long listening and watching, one inside, one by the gates. Always listening and going out and looking. So it's detrimental to my life because I have no other way to go. I'm from Massachusetts, and I lost my disability because I was helping somebody with the environmental police, and they took a photo of me, and I've been on disability since '93. So they gotta stay.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm sorry about your story. Regina Lack, you're next, and Sandra Hempstead, you're behind her.
I'm here to speak for the women's shelter.
Yes, ma'am.
I was staying there at the waterfront mission. And you can only stay there for 10 days, and then you got to pay. And when you're homeless, most of the time you don't have the money to pay $10. So I'm very thankful about having places like this to go to. It might have a tent in the backyard, but you got your own little private little area to sleep in and everything. You share the same toilets and the shower and the kitchens and stuff like that. We all kind of work together, and I'm really thankful for it because before we found that place, when the waterfront kicked us out because we couldn't pay $10, we were sleeping on the sidewalk. And I'm telling you, that's very uncomfortable when you're having to try and find a tree or a bush to go use the bathroom and everything. I mean, it's embarrassing to talk about, but you've got to do it. And this place provides that for us. So I don't want it shut down. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's bothering anybody. It's all fenced in and enclosed. We all try and work together. And I'd just like to say we'd like to keep it.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Sandra, are you next?
Hi, everybody.
Eric,
God bless you. My name is Sandra Armstead. I'm someone's aunt, niece, mother, sister, cousin, and you are also someone's relative. Think if you were out on the street, cold, hungry, raped, thirsty, and clothes. Would you help or turn the other cheek? Jesus didn't. He sacrificed his life for us because he had a heart. He knew we could do this better. And someone did. A lot of us did, and we made him proud. So those who have a heart that Jesus had and God had, give us a home. And he walked and he sacrificed. He was homeless. To make this a better place, and women have the nurture to have kids and make them creative, born today, keep hope alive and positive and strong. So please keep the women strong and alive. We want to take us off They want to take us off the street, but they shut us down and throw us back on the street. That's not right. There's more programs for men than women. In Jesus' name, in God's name, please help us.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. I hear you. I hear it in your voice. Eric Sharpland, please, you're next.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank your staff this week. I finally got that manhole fixed on Bridgedale. And I was going to ask you, is there anything we can do about helping getting these cats neutered? We've got somebody running around. The county has got no funding. I mean, I would think the veterinarians could do 50 a month and publicize it. Does it always have to be about profit? Because some of these cats are looking very, very poor because they look like they're half starved to death, and I don't have it to feed them with. And I just wanted us to come down and just, it's been the first time I've done it spoke this year, because I have trying to be around some, more positive people, as you know. You know what I'm talking about, Mike. I ended a friendship with, what's her name, because I just don't want to be around negativity anymore. The woman can make a train take a dirt road because she just hates everybody, Trump, Christians, and it's just not healthy to be around a person who is just constantly negative. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your comments. Justin Maroon, I think he's is he here? Hey, Justin. Sorry. Let's say your last name right. Markham. Okay. Stan McDonald, you're on deck. Sorry about that.
Justin Markham, President, Escambia County Professional Firefighters, Local 4131. First, I stand before you. I want to thank you guys for your support for public safety in general over the past. It's definitely appreciated and noted. More specifically, the ARPA funds that you guys allocated to the fire service allow for new apparatus purchases and capital purchases. Also for getting items on the agenda to get approved and moving forward, definitely steps in the right direction. As I say those things, though, there are some issues and problems that we're about to face and are currently facing. As we're set to meet next week for negotiations after 2 months from our previous session, I've learned this week we have 2 members leaving our department for a neighboring department. One is a 16-year member, 10 of that is an officer. He's almost doubling his pay. And the other one is a just over 2-year fireman. He's going and making $17,000 more than he is here and reducing the work hours that they have by 800. Okay, to put that in perspective, our current schedule has us working 2,920 hours a year, where a 40-hour employee works 2,040 hours per year. So we're almost 900 hours more than an average employee. Our counterparts at EMS were just offered another raise, work 2,184 hours a year, and make more hourly and annually than your firefighters. Okay, it's time to take care of your firefighters who are making state-mandated minimum wage. Again, I say state-mandated. Okay, $13 an hour. Commissioner May, I believe you said at the early of the January meeting, and reference to OLF8 and jobs that it creates, that you got people making $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour, and that's unacceptable. Yet here we are paying our firemen $13 an hour. I want to impress upon you the importance of having conversations with the administration and providing direction to fix the over decade-long problem that we're having with our firefighters' pay. Okay. For your convenience, I emailed you a wage comparison study and the proposal we presented back in December. It shows that we're the least paid and most work firemen in the Panhandle. This ain't going to South Florida getting those numbers. This is right here in the Panhandle in our neighboring counties. We sit at the table in negotiation, make these proposals, and tell you what is going to happen if things are not corrected, but it seems to fall on deaf ears. We do not tell you these things as a threat. We're trying to prevent them and create a fair and actionable plan so this can be the greatest fire department in the Panhandle, which attracts only the best and most talented firefighters. Furthermore, it keeps those individuals here. They're not leaving to go other places because their pay is hoard. In recent years, you've committed to fund FD out of the general fund. So to say there's no money in the MSBU and we cannot support raises is false. The general fund's brought in additional revenues over projected year after year. These should be unencumbered funds. I ask that you look at the budget, find a way to support these raises until the funding mechanism for the fire department's fixed, and provide direction to take care of the men and women who protect this county day in and day out. If you have any further questions, please contact me, okay? Thank you
Thank you
for
for
your
your comments.
Yeah, thanks for coming up here, and I did notice on Facebook Dustin's recruiting, and it's at $30 an hour, and we've got to be able to compete with that if we want to retain talent. So I think that we're all committed to making sure that we fix that. So thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Stan McDaniels, you're up next. Thank you for your comments. Rick Fryer, you're next. Rick Fry.
Mr. Chairman.
Hi, Stan.
Thank you. You know, as our legislature continues to fight with our governor over the illegal immigration problem that we have here in Florida, being the number 3 state with the most illegal immigrants, you know, I think it's time for our local officials to take charge. So this week, I called all 4 sheriffs in Congressional District 1 to notify them that they can reach out to ICE and DHS to get their officers deputized under 287G. Now that just runs into a funding issue with our sheriff, right? And so I would encourage this board, actually I would instruct this board to make sure our sheriff has the funding he needs to do the job that needs to be done right here in Escambia County. Because in my district, in District 3, we have a big problem, sir. And we need to do something about it. This can help with affordable housing and many other issues that we are having in this community that is draining our funds. That'll free them up for many other projects within this community and communities across Congressional District 1. I only had one person get back to me out of the 4 sheriffs that I called, and it was the Chief Deputy Lapie out of Okaloosa County, who did get back to me, and we had a wonderful conversation. And I look forward to going out there soon and meeting him. Another thing that I've been working on is the fluoride situation that we've had. Now, when they voted on this 27 years ago, I didn't have a voice because I wasn't yet old enough to vote. And yet, I've been living in this community my whole life, and I've had to drink that water. It's been put there for too long. Our Florida Surgeon General has already instructed all Florida municipalities to remove it. And the ECUA board wants to talk about another referendum when the one that is in place right now is non-binding. I would ask that you instruct ECUA to remove this immediately from our water. We don't need to put this, wait for another referendum to go before the voters. We need this removed now. It lowers our children's IQ by 10 points, and that is from a federal ruling here recently. It turns out the CDC's been lying to us about a lot of things lately, and for many, many years. So, keep trusting the science. Keep trusting those paid for studies that paint a narrative that is absolutely wrong. Get the fluoride out of our water and get the sheriff on 287G so that we can have these illegals removed from our community.
I appreciate your comments. Rick Fry.
I'm Stan McDaniels, and I'm running for Congress here in Congressional District 1.
Stan, your time's up.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your comments. Mr. Fry. Arnitha, welcome, you're next. I didn't see her here. Okay.
Sorry. Rick Fry, founder of Fluoride Free Northwest Florida. Yesterday I received a text that Andrew McKay was talking about me on the radio. I called into the show, but he would not allow me on the air to respond to anything that he was saying. I turned down an interview request from WKRG because I'm not seeking personal publicity. I've known from day one that the battle is with the ECUA. I attend these other meetings to try to pressure local politicians into doing the right thing. I was at the Gulf Breeze City Council meeting on Monday because they also rely on the ECUA during emergencies, and they have a right and responsibility to be involved in the debate. Gulf Breeze does not add hexafluoric acid into their water, and that somehow their kids miraculously still have teeth. I was texting back and forth with Andrew throughout the show, and when I pointed out that medicating people without their consent was a violation of the Nuremberg Code, he immediately went back on the air, dismissing the information and any comparison to Nazis. He then sent me a text calling it incendiary rhetoric. Well, I didn't write the Nuremberg Code, so it's not rhetoric, and I'm not conducting medical experiments on my neighbors, so don't blame me if the shoe fits. If the Nuremberg Code is too complex for you, what about the Pledge of Allegiance? Do you pledge of allegiance to the democracy or to the republic? In a republic, 51% of the people can't vote to poison the other 49%. If you don't like the rules of a republic, stop pledging allegiance to one. At one point in the show, he admitted that it was toxic waste, and then later he said that he didn't think it was poison. Poisonous substances do not require your beliefs or opinions in order to be poisonous. It literally says on the back of the toothpaste tube to contact poison control if swallowed. Every medication has side effects, and yet we've been led to believe that a neurotoxin is some magical elixir that even when given in unregulated doses, somehow only manages to give children just enough poison to help their teeth, but never enough to cause side effects. That's delusional. I've been watching for months as city after city votes this garbage out of their water. Are you really telling me that you guys have turned Pensacola into such a bureaucratic disaster that our only solution is to keep being poisoned for a year while you try to get 51% approval to continue to violate the Nuremberg Code? Niceville fixed the problem 3 days after I contacted them, but our local government is so incompetent that you want to ask people who you've been dumbing down for 30 years if it's okay to continue to dumb down their kids. And you wonder why I'm so frustrated. When we talk about fluoride being a neurotoxin and politicians want to talk to dentists, that just tells me you have no idea what you're talking about. What does a dentist know about neurological disorders, brain damage, or behavioral issues in children? I refuse to kiss the rings of the Lord of Poop and Trash at the ECUA. The only reason they've done anything is because I pressured them into doing it. If you don't like my tactics, be the leaders you claim to be and hold them accountable for their incompetence. One of the best feelings that I had was knowing that I got all that fluoride out of the water in Niceville. And I stood outside a restaurant and I saw those kids, and I knew those kids are a little bit safer because I did this. I'm going to keep fighting for the kids of Pensacola. I don't care what you do. You can't ridicule me. You can't stop me. I will continue to fight this the whole way.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Aretha, welcome. Thank you. Haven't seen you in a while, ma'am.
I know it has been a while. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Arnitha Welcome, and I'm usually informing you guys on events that are happening with the veterans. But this time, I just want to share some information concerning one of our very own, Mr. Sam McCants. Sam McCants passed away December the 25th last year, and he was the leading score person at Pensacola Catholic High School. As a matter of fact, Sam put Catholic High School on the map, and he was the leading scorer for the 4 years that he attended Catholic. He also played basketball for St. Joseph. Sam went on to play for Oral Roberts, and he was the leading scorer there, averaging at about over 3,000 points per game. But Sam is being inducted in the Pensacola Sports Hall of Fame, and that event is coming up February 26th at the Pensacola Brownsville Community Center. And I just wanted to inform you all on what's going on. Sam McCants should be recognized. He earned that along with some of our well-known athletes here like Emmitt Smith, Derek Brooks, Michelle Snowden, Justin Gatlin, Steve Williams, Coach Williams, Dave Williams. And we just want this event to be a nice, enjoyable event for Sam McCants, because he certainly earned this recognition. And I also have one of the county commissioners. He's a graduate from Pensacola Catholic High, and I'm a graduate from Pensacola Catholic High, and we certainly want to make this well known. I'm going to send you emails concerning this event for the new commissioners. Get used to me, because I will be back in May. We're having the Veterans Memorial celebration. Well, it's not a celebration, it's a ceremony at the Barrancas National Cemetery. And we will have the Veterans Stand Down in September, then the Veterans Day Parade. But I will forward you information on that also. But I just wanted to share this information about Sam McCants, and we're so sorry for his passing. He was 72 years old, and he certainly earned this recognition. Thank you.
Thanks, Arnitha. I'll see you soon. Our last speaker is Tom Jardine.
All right, Tom Jardine, 1112 Vita Luna, and I want to talk about the digital media policy for a second. And ironically, it's not a subject I'm an expert on, but My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, we just had a county commissioner who basically got the county in a lot of trouble because he wasn't taking care of the public records properly. My understanding is he was hoarding thousands of public records on his personal cell phone and intermingling those public records with his own private records. And ultimately, he got himself locked out of that cell phone. He could have lost that phone a million different ways. We could have lost thousands of public records easily. And it cost the county thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, in court costs, and I don't even think the problem's even been resolved yet. I'm very pleased you guys are revising your digital policy, but I didn't hear anything about mandating the use of the county-issued telephones and devices. Why can't you guys use the county-issued phones? If you don't like the phones that we've issued you, we've got $748 million in this county. We'll buy you whatever phone you want, but use the county phones. If you make a mistake and you accidentally use your personal phone for a public record, transfer it to your county phone, and then send the public records to the clerk within 5 business days. And if you can't do that, please, have an explanation of why you can't send the public records to the clerk. But you guys get these, the legal department sends you guys somebody out here every year to give you guys a brief about how to handle public records and the sunshine laws. I don't know why our media policy doesn't contain that you guys will use our public phones and turn in the public records in a timely manner. There's no sense of hoarding our public records. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board. That concludes all our speakers. I'd like to take a 5-minute break and reconvene at no later than 5:40. Let's reconvene. Yeah, 5:40. So we convene for public forum. Regular meeting will start at 5:40 p.m. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting, February 6, 2025 at 5:40 p.m. We'll call it to order. Please turn your cell phones to vibrate, silence, or the offsetting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairperson. To allow sufficient time for all speakers, speakers shall refrain from abuse or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to the board members and questions raised by the board. Commissioner Berry, you have the invocation tonight?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. My friend Mark LeBranch from St. Luke Methodist on 9 Mile Road, if you don't mind. And if you'd please rise.
Let us pray. Oh Lord, how grateful we are to live in this great nation, in this great county, in this great city. And Lord, we're grateful for leaders who have stepped into the arena in order to help lead us to greater heights as a community. We're thankful for citizens who are engaged. And Lord, so tonight we pray that you would bless this time of business in our county. Lord, we pray that you would give wisdom to these leaders who are seeking to tackle some of the greatest challenges before us. Lord, we pray that you would give them wisdom. We pray that every decision that is made would be in the best welfare and interest of the citizens that they serve. And so, Lord, we pray that you would honor our attempt to serve you in this way, for we pray it in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hoffberger, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have any idea what it is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Are there any items to add to the agenda? Commissioner Berry?
No, sir.
Commissioner May?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Stroberger?
No, sir.
Commissioner Hoffberger?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I have a recommendation to adopt the agenda?
Move the
as prepared?
agenda. Second.
I'll please vote. We'll try the electronic, and if it doesn't work, we'll go to hand. But we can do hand now. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, we don't currently have the whole board logged in, so we'll...
Well, okay, that vote passed 5-0. Please try to log in. All right, Commissioner's Forum. Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a lovely ribbon cutting last Thursday in Cantonment at the former International Paper Golf Course. I want to thank Casey Lagarde and Wes and for getting the ribbon cutting set, and specifically thank Mike Rhodes and Adam Reed and all the Parks and Recreation folks, as well as Jamie Higdon and all the Public Works folks that both have been extremely engaged in the development of that, what we're calling Paper Park. It's fantastic. We did a ribbon cutting last week, but the facility has been used by thousands of constituents already, just in the month or so that it's been what you would kind of consider available for use. There's a large walking track as well as a large playground area and a gazebo, a covered area as well. It's big disc golf course, which it's funny. It's easy for us to kind of get caught up in what we're doing, and sometimes you think everybody pays attention to what goes on with the county, and obviously that's not true. We're out there doing ribbon cutting, and there's a dozen, 15, 18 people playing disc golf that could not have been less concerned with what we were doing over in the corner by the playground equipment. So that's great. I'm excited. We're moving forward basically immediately with a second phase, which is going to basically double the walking track, the linear feet of the walking track, get it well over a mile, closer to a mile and a half, and immediately having to address some increased parking needs out there as well, which are good problems to have. We've got another park in Kimstrand, Old Kimstrand and Gonzales, where the former 99 Boys Ranch used to be, and then it was a charter school for a period of years. I thank again Mike Rhodes and Jamie Higdon and their teams for getting that much smaller facility, but it's up and it's ready for to start use on Monday. And we'll do a ribbon cutting here in the next few weeks when I can work with one of the families that's going to be the namesake of the park. It's going to be known as Gonzalez Jennings Park. The Jennings family is an old family from the Gonzalez Baptist community that owned quite a bit of the land, still owns a lot, but kind of stalwarts in that Gonzalez community, and keeps the Gonzalez name as well, with a reference to the Gonzalez community, as well as Gonzalez Baptist and Gonzalez Methodist Church down the street. So those were great things that happened last week, and some really good news going forward. On a much sadder note, I want to specifically acknowledge my best friend for over 30 years. Lost his father a couple of weeks ago, and after a lengthy illness, but Billy Hadashelt passed away, so I just want to send thoughts and prayers out to Jason and Shanna and their children, as well as his sister Darlene and her children, and his mother who survives, Dee Hadashelt, but they played baseball with him, worked with him, lived with him, roommates for years and years before both of us got married, and just tough. Losing parents is tough. So his family's experiencing that right now. But thoughts and prayers to the family and friends of Billy Hadashelt. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Commissioner May?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly want to recognize and thank the MLK Commemoration Committee. I do still need a welcome and the work that they did, although the parade was canceled. I know many of us was looking forward to it, and it's wonderful to know that it's going to be rescheduled for Juneteenth, and recognizing what I call a great American and Dr. Martin Luther King. And so I do appreciate it. Certainly want to send out my thanks, and Commissioner Strohberger, thank you. With the Chappie James, we look forward to being a part with the Chappie James Museum and the Navy Aviation, and many of the young men who are now learning aviation because of the Chappie James Foundation and the work that they're doing, and we look forward to supporting them. It's always a happy day for me because I am a Little League coach, and to the Clarity family, Ladarian Clarity family signing with Ole Miss this week on National Signing Day. Another young man that I've coached, A.G. Floyd, signing with Kansas, and probably multiple young people that I've had the opportunity to come in contact with have signed national scholarships, and thanks to Coach Jade Brown and the success that her and Aisha Stallworth are having at Washington and West Florida Tech, and many of their girls are going to the next level. I know that it's near and dear to Commissioner Berry's heart, mutual friend of ours, Tony and Benita Jacobs, but most of us have had a Damien's Ice Cup at some point in our life, and since our last meeting, we had the celebration of life for Damien Jacobs, the son of Tony and Benita Jacobs, who are two very dear friends of mine, and I know that Commissioner Berry is also closely related to them. And on yesterday, I had the opportunity to be out with the family of Anthony Dawson, who lost his life, who was a Little League coach, a Little League umpire, who is kind of the mayor of Wedgwood, the mayor of Hampton Road, the mayor of Wedgwood Community Center. At the age of 61, Anthony Flyboy Dawson lost his life. I was glad to be there with his family, with Sonia and his daughter, as he transitioned, and our prayers are with him. And also to Mr. Joey Brewer. Many people don't know what happened in the minority-majority district when 10 men filed a federal lawsuit to create a minority-majority district, which allowed for two of my predecessors to be able to sit in this seat. But before Hollis T. Williams became the first African-American city council, there was a guy by the name, insurance guy by the name of Joey Brewer, who was in hospice and very near and dear to District 3, and his daughter teaches and is an administrator at Oakcrest in District 3, and our prayers are going out to Mr. Joey Brewer and to his family as they face these difficult times. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner May, for your comments. Commissioner Strohberger?
So last year on February 8th, it's a couple more days, because of the county's resigned to run ordinance, I quit my job working for Commissioner Kohler. and I
Or stay
pre-filed
with
for a
life.
District 1 Commissioner's election. For me, it was a blessing, not only because I got out of that office with Commissioner Kohler.
Point of order. No.
No, I'm kidding. We're really good friends. But it also allowed me to work full time on my campaign. And so, I mean, it's a chance to relearn the issues, to meet people that you're going to represent. I thought it was a major advantage for me to be able to just go work, instead of having to work at the county. And it also gave me that 1-year break from the county. However, I think those protectionist measures that favor an incumbent and prevent employees of the county from running for public office by forcing a resignation limits our choices, and I don't like limiting choices. Therefore, I fully support repealing the ordinance that, in its entirety, that the county once again follow the guidance of Florida State's resign to run law. And this is something that we're going to have a hearing on, and I thank my colleague, Commissioner Hoffberger, for asking for this public hearing so we can talk about that. The way the Florida state law is, the way it reads is, am I saying anything I'm not supposed to say? Am I okay?
You're totally fine. The
Okay.
item for tonight is to schedule the public hearing for
Roger.
March the 6th.
Okay. It essentially allows one to explore the possibility of running for public office without having, by allowing that person to collect petitions and campaign donations up to 10 days before the qualification period. So you wouldn't have to resign if you didn't think you would be able to get elected, so you could just keep your job. So I think that's fair. So that's all I have to say about that. On the 5th of February, 32 years ago, I was designated a naval aviator, and I'm Naval Aviator 22,373. So hooray to me. Also, today is Ronald Reagan's birthday. He happens to be my favorite president. He would be 114 years old today, so happy birthday to Ronald Reagan. And my colleague here alluded to Chappie James. Tomorrow we got a dinner. His birthday is the 11th of February, and I'm going to get to read the proclamation. Thank you very much, Commissioner. I appreciate that. It's really an honor for me to be able to do that. I think he knows that. It's a really important thing. Yes, sir. Of course, everyone knows he's the first, America's first African-American 4-star general. Kind of a big deal. So thank you. So circling back to, let's see, the 1st of February is my mom's birthday. She turned 89 on the 1st, and I already told her happy birthday, so that's good. And then on the 8th of February, in a couple days, is my grandson's birthday, Leo. He's going to be 10 years old. Happy birthday to Leo. The last thing I want to say is I want to wish or send best wishes to a good friend of mine, Sergeant Major Jim Fitzpatrick. He's battling cancer right now. Great guy. If you don't know him, he's a Rotarian, Superman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Strober. Commissioner Hoffberger?
Thank you. As many of us the snowstorm was great, and our county did a really good job of keeping everything in order. We had a ton of people that stepped up to make sure that our community was safe. So I just want to give a shout out to all of CMR. You guys made sure that we were communicating consistently and we were getting information out. Most people get their information from social media, so thank you so much for continuously pushing that. Kirk Troll and Jamie Higdon within Public Works, you guys made sure the roads were safe. We had a few residents in District 4 calling in with concerns. You were on top of that, so thank you. To our first responders, Travis Tompkins, Scotland Williams, Chief Watts, and Chief Harrison, thank you. I know no one expected 10 inches of snow, but our county did really, really good. So I just really want you to know how much I appreciate that, and the rest of the community appreciates you as well.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I have just a few things. Last Saturday, Olive Baptist Church had a prayer breakfast for politicians and government, and there was there's a lot of people there, and it was a great event for anyone that went. It was a time of reflection, and I want to thank Olive Baptist Church for putting that on. I also want to thank the first responders. I was in comms with Commissioner Marino, County Administrator Marino, during the whole crisis. I know that public safety was working through that, even though a lot of us were hunkered down making snowmen and angels. They were still doing runs and taking care of the citizens of our county, same as fire. And so I thank you guys for being out there and doing that. That it matters to the citizens that they see a responsive cadre when we're in a crisis like that. I had the pleasure the last 2 days, I'm on the Defense Network Coalition, and for many of you in the staff, you had worked with me on putting together some of the bullets that we've done in the county to fortify and support around the base. There's several people, a couple commissioners from Santa Rosa County, obviously Debbie Graham, Admiral Quinn, and we spent, I spent Tuesday and Wednesday with our lobbyists and multiple folks on the staff side, our Health Affairs and House and Armed Service Committee, Congressman Dunn, Congressman Franklin, Congressman Elsie, Congressman Cole. We saw with Congressman Donaldson and expressed, since we have a gap with our congressmen, the needs that we need on the base. And I think it's important to remind the impact in the Panhandle. Many of you may have not known this, but they put out an economic impact study for the whole state of Florida for every base. And in our Panhandle, when you add into Okaloosa, as well as Santa Rosa and Escambia, it's about an $8 billion impact is what they estimate, and about 52% of our economy. 27,000 military and civilian personnel, 70,000 jobs supported, 84,000 veterans, 20,000 military retirees, and 60,000 transit students that go through every year. And that's not just the aviation side, which we focus on a lot because we are excited about the Blue Angels, but the cryptos and the aviation mechanics. I can't express the importance of that base and how important it is for our economy. And I can assure you that every other base in the United States is fighting just as hard as we need to be fighting to continue to fight for ours. So I think the Defense Network Coalition is doing a great job, and we're doing our part to try to do everything we can to protect both our bases and the ones in Santa Rosa County. I want to say one other thing that kind of, we'll bring it up later. It's Black History Month. And ever since I've been on the board, we've been dealing with Chappie James Memorial. And I'm exhausted by it, honestly. And I think it's time for this board. I had a good conversation with the mayor. I know our county attorney had went back with their county attorney. We had negotiations on the stewardship. I know, Commissioner Hofberger, you're on the TDC, but I think it's time to move that forward. The mayor's committed to me that he sent a letter to the TDC. I haven't read that letter, but I'm under the assumption that it will assume that they will take over the stewardship. So I would like to see, in the spirit of the first four-star black general from Escambia County after the whole time I've been here, that we, as a board, move forward with that sooner than later. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for recognizing Black History Month and recognizing the great contribution that all people make to this country. I mean, red, yellow, black, and white, they're all precious in God's sight. So we must respect all ethnicities, all cultures, and all people. So I thank you, and I certainly concur with you and agree. A great American. And he just happened to be a great African American, and so why not recognize someone who has made so many contributions to this country and sacrificed his life and ultimately was from this community. And so I've been in full support and will continue to be in full support of recognizing anyone that makes great contributions, but recognizing in this month of February, it is important to recognize contributions of African Americans, because without sacrifices of other African Americans, quite frankly, I wouldn't be sitting in this seat. Without a federal lawsuit for a minority-majority district, we probably would not have a person of my pigmentation sitting in this seat, and so I don't take it lightly, the contributions that African Americans have made to this country. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing that day sooner than later. Can I get a motion to
Mr.
adopt?
Chairman, if I could, real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, as I was, I forgot, our karaoke county administrator, I'm sorry,
I just want to
Wes.
hang on to the board's appreciation of staff. We've done some amazing things, even through the snowstorm. We've allocated $61.8 million worth of opera money. A lot of hard work from some of our departments and Ms. Elizabeth Kissel. We met the deadlines, we met all the requirements, all the procurement requirements. They've done a fantastic job. It's a big deal. That's above and beyond all the LOST projects and some of the other grant projects, HUD grant projects that we have going on. So we're driving a lot of work out in the community. During the snow week, I went to public safety the Thursday before that weekend, and we started running the models. Me and Scotland and Eric and Travis, and it became apparent that they weren't matching up at the time, but by about Sunday, the models started lining up and came together, and we started putting plans together to house some EMS staff there in public safety, feed them, take care of them so they'd be on site. Fire came on shift at just the right time. That worked out well. We ran almost 1,000 calls that week in the snow, and that's unprecedented. We had public works out all hours of the night, around the clock, in 12-degree weather with wind chill of I don't know what. But, you know, I've responded to many a hurricane in the summer with no air conditioning. I can do that pretty easy, but don't drop me off in the snow, whatever you do. So I appreciate those guys. I appreciate Jamie and Tyler's leadership and Kirk out on Pensacola Beach. The beach folks are just amazing. They're a little bit different group, but they get business done, they get work done, and they drive hard, and I know they're getting ready to hit their busy season. On a personal note, I have two things. I don't normally say too many personal things from the dais, but I have a son that will celebrate his 36th birthday this weekend, so I want to wish him a happy birthday. And then me and my wife, Carla, in a few days will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. That's probably more for her. She's earned it, I promise you.
We know.
We were kidding around the other day, and we had some friends over. I said, you realize that's 2 life sentences? And she goes, trust me, I'm aware. And, but when I stepped in this role, there was a few times they said, hey, he's got a calm demeanor. And I'd go home, she goes, who in the world are they talking about? I said, I don't know. But, you know, anyway, I appreciate her. I love her. She's been good. We've raised a family together. We've raised kids together. We've coached sports and did the band thing. And, you know, as you get older, there's a lot of water goes under the bridge. And you lose parents. You say goodbye to parents sometimes. And the holiday traditions change. The holiday experiences change. But she's hung with me through the years, and I love her and I appreciate her. Thank you.
And congratulations, Wes, and thank you for your comments. All right, can we get a motion to adopt and ratify the
Move the
proclamation?
proclamations.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. Okay. Okay, we did a hand vote, passed 5-0, but we'll try the electronic, I guess, as we move forward. Our first public safety, Eric Gilmore, we're going to recognize, does he have the agenda? Jerry Steege, and Eric, you're presenting the proclamation, please. I was looking here and it's.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. It is my esteemed honor to congratulate Jerry Steege on being recognized as Escambia County Employee of the Month. And talking about the snowstorm, Jerry's one of our 911 dispatchers. And to hear these folks in the room, he was there that Tuesday morning when it started coming down and everybody was in ooh and ah until that afternoon when everybody started driving on it going, oh no. So, but he did a fantastic job. And I was listening to the radio as I was out and about helping our crews and moving around and trying to identify routes that were accessible. He did a phenomenal job. He sounded like an air traffic controller, telling ambulances and fire trucks how to route, how not to go. Don't go that way, go this way. And then all while amidst doing that, getting with Jamie and his crew, which they did a phenomenal job, and I can't speak enough about them, getting out there and, grading the roads, putting sand down and doing whatever they could to make things accessible for us. So these are, the people behind the scenes that you don't think about. You see the lights and the sirens and those people out there, but these guys in the room telling them where to go and how to get there, and they make a big difference as well. So Jerry Steege, Emergency Communications Dispatcher in the Escambia County Communications Division of Public Safety, began his employment April 6, 2021. and is selected as Employee of the Month for February 2025 for the standards of excellence he displays in performance of his duties. In his role as an emergency communications dispatcher, Jerry dispatches fire and EMS units while maintaining constant communication with responders and processes 911 calls, providing life-saving pre-arrival and post-dispatching instructions. Jerry's research and procurement and installation of the necessary replacement parts for our outdated emergency communications consoles resulted in significant cost savings for the county. He has also taken on additional equipment replacement projects and serves as a valued team member and leader in public safety department. Not only does he do those things in our comms, but he's also a Walnut Hill volunteer firefighter. So when he's off duty, he's still responding to calls and still talking on the radio. So he's just not telling himself where to go on the other end. So now, therefore, be proclaimed the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida hereby recommends and congratulates Mr. Jerry Steege in his selection as Employee of the Month for February 2025. Michael Kohler, Chair, Ashley Hoffberger, Vice Chair, Steve Strohberger, District 1, Lehman May, District 3, Stephen Berry, District 5. Thank you very much, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, come on. They didn't want to come up there? Get them up there. You tell her I did it. I did it. Thank you. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Are you presenting to Mr. Clyde Fred Brandenburg?
He's making his way. Thank you. Hey, buddy. How are you?
Before you read, we want to say if you
Okay.
West Rank.
Hi. Hey, buddy. How are you? Congratulations. We have a few comments before I read the proclamation, and I'll take first stab at it. So I don't know if Frank remembers this or not. My hair might have had some blonde highlights or something in my hair at the time, but it's been better than 20 years ago. I met Frank when I was first volunteering at Miracle League. We were trying to raise money and actually get the first field built by hand. But a big part of that was raising money. We didn't have the benefit that Atlanta, Georgia, and some other places had, where corporate donors came in. So one of the big fundraisers that we did was the turkey fry, and I remember seeing Frank just. November in Florida can still be very, very hot. And I remember seeing Frank and Packy Mitchell and Larry Thompson sitting there frying turkeys and just sweating up a storm. And I've always had a lot of respect for that, and I appreciate that. I don't know if I ever mentioned that to you, but I know you spent a lot of time with those kids.
Thanks, sir.
Absolutely. But Jamie, please.
Good evening. First, I'd like to professionally thank Frank for 44 years of community service to the citizens of this county at various roles. He started 1970, mosquito control. It was a state agency then. He went from the state back and forth to the county, various roles. And I guess 93 too, you've stayed for the straight run at Public Works?
94.
94. Well, Frank and I first met probably 79, 80. We've been friends, teammates, employees, worked together in various agencies. I was at the Sheriff's Department. We worked together. I guess the last 10 years, we've both been at Public Works together, and he's tirelessly, no matter what the need was, he was there. If it was a fire truck in the middle of the night, broke down, Frank was there. Personally, I want to thank you for always having my back. It's kind of a little bit emotional. No matter what, I kind of look at you as family, and you'll always be remembered and missed at Public Works. Thank you.
Thanks,
Jamie. I'd just like to add that I've really enjoyed working with you, and you've definitely made a lasting impact on the department and the county, and congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Frank, I'm going to pile on just a little bit. I've appreciated you, getting to know you and your family a little bit. And you've done a great job for Escambia County. Your family's doing a great job in how they represent the citizens. But, you know, when you're in these roles and you're in leadership roles and when you're in a director role, you look for people who have your back. You look for people who will get in the fire with you, walk through the storm with you, walk through the smooth waters and the rough waters, and be there no matter what. And you've been that through the years. You've been a mainstay. I appreciate your loyalty to the community, to the organization, and especially to Jamie. I know you've been his right hand, and you've made him better, and therefore you've made this community better. So I just want to say I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and read the proclamation. Then I know there's some families here, so they've got to come up for the picture. All right, but I'll read the proclamation. All right. Whereas Clyde Frank Brandenburg has served Escambia County, Florida, as an employee of the Board of County Commissioners very faithfully for over 29 years consecutively, retiring as a Fleet Operations Manager, Public Works. Mr. Frank Brandenburg was hired in August 1995 as a heavy equipment mechanic in the Roads Department. During his 29 years of service to the citizens of Escambia County, he continuously impressed his supervisors with his industrious, persevering, can-do attitude. Being promoted to lead Fleet Maintenance Tech, then to Fleet Supervisor, and then to Fleet Operations Manager, Mr. Brandenburg's tireless efforts, day in and day out, contributed to the smooth operation of Escambia County. Mr. Brandenburg has demonstrated skills and knowledge that are unsurpassed and a work ethic that was above and beyond all expectations placed upon him. Mr. Brandenburg embraced the multitude of ever-changing duties assigned to him during his service with Escambia County. His commitment to public service, those he has mentored, and to the citizens of Escambia County are without equal. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of Escambia County, Florida, and his fellow employees, commend and congratulate Clyde Frank Brandenburg on his retirement. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County expresses its appreciation to Clyde Frank Brandenburg for his 29 years of faithful and dedicated service as a county employee. So thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah. We all gotta even out some. Kevin, how are you, buddy? Doing good. There you go.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Huh?
Floor is yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Thank 'em.
Yeah.
Come on, Frank, give us a speech.
Our commissioners, over the years, it's been great.
Hey, thank you for the long-winded comment.
All right. Commissioner May, I think we need Ms. Gillum from United Way. We're giving a proclamation for 211. Come on up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What an awesome opportunity to present this to Laura Gillum and her staff, and my dear friend Kendrick Dodge, who is always supportive. But to recognize 211, I came back from Ted Hendry and Gene Norman and Susan Sinclair, and so a lot what I've learned, outcome measurements and programmatic things, I learned from United Way, and I was there at the origination of 211 back in those days, Laura, probably before you were born. So, yeah, sort of. Whereas 211 Northwest Florida grew out of the first call for help, and after Hurricane Ivan in 2004 gradually evolved in 211 Northwest Florida. Whereas as of October 2022, 211 Northwest Florida added Okaloosa and Walton counties, now providing services to all 10 counties of Northwest Florida. Whereas during the year of 2024, 211 Northwest Florida answered 41,905 calls, serving 76,350 people. Whereas from 2019 to 2024, 211 Northwest Florida served over 412,769 people in our community. Whereas 211 Northwest Florida, or Florida Veteran Support Line, employs veterans to provide peer-to-peer support and help veterans to readjust, providing linkage to services for their veterans and their families. Whereas 211 Northwest Florida has one of the highest 988 calls answered rate in the state of Florida at 97%, greatly exceeding the state average. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, does hereby declare February 11, 2025 as 211 Awareness Day, and urges all citizens to be aware that if they are overwhelmed in a crisis or just need to talk, 211 Northwest Florida is available at any time, day or night. And 211 Northwest Florida staff can provide referrals for mental health counseling, substance abuse, health care, employment, food assistance, daycare, support groups, volunteering, free income tax, income preparation, and many, many, many more services. Board of County Commissioners, Michael Kohler, Chairman, Ashley Holberger, Vice Chairman, Steve Stroberger, District 1, Lumen J. May, District 3, Stephen Berry, District 5. Lord, thank you, your staff, and your volunteers.
Thank you.
Shuffle this way, just a little bit so we get you centered.
Got it. More.
Commissioner, you're right in the center.
Got it.
Thank you so much. Do we redo all this?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm Laura Gilliam. I'm the president and CEO of United Way of West Florida. I'd like to thank Commissioner May for selecting to read the proclamation, and Commissioner Stroberger and Kohler for expressing willingness to do so as well. As you heard, 211 Northwest Florida is a free, confidential and line and is available 24/7 to connect callers with local resources and to empower them to meet their needs. United Way of West Florida operates 211 Northwest Florida across 10 counties in the Panhandle, with over 97% of individuals recommending the service. You heard in the proclamation that last year we had 18,010 calls. Of those calls, we provided over 13,000 food referrals, over 11,000 health referrals, nearly 19,000 rent and housing referrals, and almost 18,000 utility referrals. We recently met with Commissioner Stroberger to share additional information about 211 Northwest Florida and our other resource and referral lines for various populations. Commissioner, we appreciate your interest, and we look forward to meeting with the rest of you to help you learn a little bit more about what we're doing. It was referenced also in the proclamation that we have other referral lines. So in addition to 211, we have 988, which is the mental health service line. We have a veterans support line, a caregiver support line, and we are getting ready to start a first responder support line. So as we celebrate 211 Day in 211 Month, I want to thank you for your role in empowering your constituents to meet their needs. And we look forward to continuing to serve our community alongside our elected officials to further develop Escambia County and enrich the lives of its citizens. So thank you for having us this evening.
Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, that concludes our proclamations, and so let's move on to clerk. Did the clerk's office receive the proof of publication for public hearing on the agenda and the board weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Okay.
Move to waive the reading.
Second.
All right, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Madam Clerk, we have one speaker. Can I have them speak before you report? We normally don't, but Larry Downs Jr., you're up on the clerk's report.
Larry Downs Jr. All right. Y'all know I disagree with this double taxation stuff. I just want, every now and then, I just want to remind y'all that, y'all are supposed to be conservatives. Most times it seems like Lumen is a little more conservative. Maybe I could get him to, why are we taxing people to come visit us more and ourselves at the same time? Because I go out to the beach. I stay in the hotel every now and then. Why am I getting taxed a tourism extra surcharge? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it does make sense if that's what your gig is to, get as much taxes as possible. But y'all are supposed to be conservative. Republicans, at least the 4 of you, and y'all could put a vote. Y'all could put I don't know if that's even allowed. Is it even allowed? Would the state even allow us to opt out of that? They might say, no. You have to take the money. Like you have to take the COVID shots. You have to work. Anyways, geez. If there's any way that we could stop doing this, I mean, I know y'all got to agree with me that it's not right to be taxing people to come and visit with us. It's just not right. And it's definitely not right to tax us when we live here. A tourism tax, TDC. I've been to a couple of those meetings. They're interesting. It's jockeying around to see who gets what money. It's almost like when we draw the lines for for bidding for voters. It's just not right. We need to stop it. Anyways, y'all know Anthony Fauci got that pardon.
Thank you, Ms. Larry. Pam, if you'd do the clerk's report, please.
Sure. With brevity, the first item is the November investment report. The second is the TDT for December 2004. We collected $1 million that month, but I want to tell you, Orange County collected $31 million. I provided that for you, Mr. Downs. Just wanted you to know that. And the third is just minutes and reports for your approval. Thank you.
Move the clerk's report.
Second? Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for the report. Let's move on to the growth management report. Oh, Horst, you're over there. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We have our consent agenda for
We have 2
February,
public speakers, too.
for February of the 20th and March the 6th, the consent agenda.
We have Chris Kerb on GMR 1-1.
Thank you, Chris Kerb, Flood Defenders. This is actually rescheduled from the February 20th, and we're rescheduling it because of the snowstorm. So I'd sent y'all an email on this on January 9th, I believe it was. I'll be sending you another email. This ordinance coming up, the language as far as adopting FDOT rainfall data is good. That's No Atlas 14, something I've been harping on for the last 4 years. What's the problem with the proposed stormwater ordinance? Well, a pond in a closed basin with no positive outfall, with only a 6-inch freeboard, that's a flooding liability for the properties around the pond. And if you're going to start accepting those ponds, there's a flooding liability for the county. It's arbitrary and capricious to use a 6-inch freeboard. Where'd that even originate from? It's not based off of science. I passed out a design standard from DOT, which is based off of science, which says you need to use a 100-year, 7-day, and 10-day storm if you're in a closed basin. That's what I asked for at the Professional Advisory Committee and the Planning Board. I spoke at public forum about 3 ponds that have no outfalls. They're in a closed basin in Muldoon area, Hogan Pit area. $20 to $30 million is the proposed estimate, depending on when you actually build it and when you get the money for it. Where's the money coming for that? Where's the funding coming for that? Those are county ponds with no outfalls that flood properties around it. How many private ponds without positive outfall in closed basins are there today? Are we going to start accepting private ponds now if this arbitrary, capricious 6-inch freeboard standard can be met? What kind of liability does that bring to the county? How many more ponds will be accepted by the county, increasing this flood liability? Why should taxpayers subsidize development by designing and constructing positive outfalls with such a low design standard? But is the county going to update your 1992 drainage impact fee to fund all these positive outfall projects that you're going to have to do? I'll leave it at that. I'll speak on it again at the public meeting. Thank you.
Chris. Mary Konopka, you're up next.
Hi again, guys. I'm Mary Konopka. I live at 6248 Muldoon Road behind a business that's been there since 1985. When I took over there in 1996, we didn't have flooding. We had no problems. But we had ditches instead of sidewalks. We didn't have Hogan Pond. We had a filled-in old landfill, and there were no flooding problems until somewhere this idea came from that we needed to fill in ditches and put sidewalks in and dig Hogan Pond, which has absolutely no outflow. So when it fills up, it overflows. And guess who lives in it right there? So it overflows into my backyard and my neighbors. There's a fella named Dimitri from engineering. When we had this planning and zoning meeting about this particular issue, and I was saying what was going on at my place, he showed up at my door the next day, and he saw the lake in my neighbor's yard. And it had rained 3 or 4 days previously. It hadn't rained at all for 4 days, and there was a lake. So I'm all for doing these pits by standard. I don't like the freeboard. Do y'all know what a freeboard is? Well, if there's a freeboard and the pond gets so full, it overflows that freeboard into my yard, my neighbor's yard, and the pond has no outfall, my area is just going to flood. And until the pond perks enough to get the water down, it can't take any more water. But guess what? The freeboard's there. So the water that should drain off of my property and my neighbor's property can't go into the pond. So what this freeboard thing, I'm just not into that. And no, I'm not an engineer, but you know, I've studied what I could about it, and I'm just interested in living in a nice area that doesn't flood all the time, and that every time it rains, I don't have to go
Ms. Konopka,
do
any
things to
finalize your
protect my
thoughts?
customer stuff.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate what you shared with us.
Sure thing.
All right, that concludes the speakers for our growth management report. Do we have a motion to move?
Move the item.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. That concludes the GMR, all items. Let's move on to the county administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 10 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Please drop CAR 1-1, the recommendation concerning CRA meeting minutes.
We have no speakers. Can we move? Okay, is there a second? Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, there are 52 items on the budget finance consent agenda. Please drop CAR 2-1 and 2-2, regarding CRA items. Please hold for speakers, car 2-27, car 2-33, and car 2-34.
And 2-13, I just want to make a comment about it.
2-13.
Okay. All right, can you move the balance of a second? Second, please vote. All right, motion passes 5-0. The only thing, I think 213 is the first one, right?
Correct.
Only reason I want to bring this up, it was on the TDC. I got contacted by 2 different members on the TDC. I intend on supporting this cause, even though I wish things were a little bit more tight on that board. The request was for $250,000 for a wine and water festival, which is 6 weeks out. We haven't even approved the money. It's the same time that foiling, and from my standpoint, I love events. I want to do events. I want to bring more people in, but the timeline and the amount of money to me seemed like there needed to be a little bit more oversight on some of these things. And so I'll do it this time, but I'm putting out there that I was very concerned about that.
Just having conversation around that, it looks, I'm also supporting this, just FYI, but going forward, I think we need better parameters, and I would like to see all proposals go through the DMOs that they're directed to, not coming to us and not necessarily going to TDC. Everybody should have to go through the same process, and I don't think that's happening now.
I couldn't agree with you more. So if you want to make a motion or someone else says to move this forward, I'll support it, but I agree with what you said. I think we need to have a process that treats everyone the same on the TDC.
I'll move the item, Mr. Chairman.
I second.
Okay, please vote.
Commissioner Kohler?
Yes,
May I
clerk?
speak up for a few minutes?
Yes, please.
On this item, I did read the miscellaneous appropriation agreement that you're going to sign with this. I would suggest not signing it. I would send it back to the maker. It sounds very much like a general revenue appropriation. The words that it starts with, that it's public good or improves general welfare, you really need to start that your conversation has to be directly promotes tourism. The document you sign needs to be directly promotes tourism. There's also nothing in this document that prohibits us from paying for alcohol. That should be in there. There are several items that I would recommend that you change on this appropriation item before you sign it. I do agree it should go through the DMO to protect yourself. This is a lot of money that should go through a vetting process of those that know the sense, they know your DMO rules. There are a few other things, like I don't understand what you're expecting the expenditures to be. So when it comes to the comptroller and it says marketing, okay, that's good, and it says enhance event capacity. I'm not sure what are you expecting to see as reimbursements. Also in the miscellaneous appropriation agreement, it's saying that you're just going to fund 1/12, and then it's going to go from there. There's going to be no upfront expenditures. Is that what you're really doing, or are you going to do a lump sum? I'm going to need some guidance for payment.
Well, I think,
Madam Clerk, is this something that you would feel uncomfortable in paying? I mean, because I'll pull back the motion if this is something you feel uncomfortable in paying.
Thank you for asking. I don't want to go that far. I did do some independent research. I'm going to hold my independent research because I assume that you all have done it. And I assume the county attorney, I have called other comptrollers, I have called others that collect and spend TDTs. Where I think this is going to get problematic in your future, what if your church's school is going to partner with a car show? Where does this stop? The whole goal of TDT collection and expenditures are to put heads in beds. They're also to create ballparks. They are to improve your civic center, your Bay Center, to bring more tourism here. I think this is a tourism event. You have to think this is a tourism event. You have to say it. You have to understand what's happening. You have to give me clarity in the MAA that you sign. Is that fair?
Thank you, Clerk.
Yeah,
Can I
that's
ask our attorney?
So, I mean, attorney, do you feel comfortable that it fits? I mean, so I would say, Madam Clerk, has the attorney answered your questions and from the legal position makes you feel comfortable?
Well,
Madam
I'd like
Clerk?
to know her opinion, because I don't like getting up on the dais and having the clerk tell me we may not pay it, or may potentially.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that. I said, please look at the agreement before you sign that, because there's a lot of things in here that represent general welfare. This should not be a general welfare agreement. This is a tourism agreement. You have to believe that it's tourism and give me guidance on payments. I think county attorney can do that.
Madam Counsel, this is one where I totally depend on your guidance on this.
We did look at this. It is standard language that has been used in some previous TDT-related expenditures. But if you want to make a motion, if you do believe it to be promoting tourism and you want to make a motion that says that it's subject to legal sign-off, we can certainly coordinate with both our OMB office and the clerk's office to ensure that the language is acceptable to all involved. Is that?
Well, I
They have a
more
representative
concerns
here that
now.
can assure us that. I mean, who's here representing this? Brian? I mean, Brian, could you address
Yeah,
tourism?
If you guys want to come up and talk, the timeline is short. I'll allow that, give you a couple minutes. But the timeline on this is part of the problem, I think, where we're having the discussion. It's so short, and you know, we're talking about Chappie James is go 2 years, and you come in and you're with a hospital and you get $250,000. It just, I don't know, it doesn't smell right. But please share with it.
The event is to promote tourism, and in fact, we're pulling experts from individuals that are east of us, Destin 30A, that host these events throughout the year. They receive TDT dollars, and actually, if you look at their research, 55% of attendees come out of the area. So absolutely, these dollars are to drive heads and beds and to promote tourism. And there's research to our neighbors to the right.
And this event had went on before, is that correct? This
First
first
year.
year? In the first year, obviously, then you've asked for money from TDC. Well, how did you get to $250,000? How did that number come up?
Marketing dollars is the majority of it. It's almost 75%. And then capacity building for the first year event to ensure that it's an experience that does drive tourism.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
So, I think I saw somewhere from Visit. Are they helping to market this? Is Visit or FUFU or anybody helping to
We've had
market?
multiple meetings with Visit Pensacola.
And they're helping to market this?
They are.
So this is an additional to the marketing that they're doing?
They're not helping marketing, they're helping with the study for tourism.
So, and we talked about this, but just so everybody else knows, Visit Pensacola only does the larger grants once a year. Their grant window had already closed. Like we just talked about, everything going through the DMO. When I met with Visit Pensacola, they said they would, in the future, I'm voting for you guys, but in the future, Visit Pensacola is open to doing 2 grant sessions a year versus just 1, so we don't have to run into this problem again. So I know you guys have pretty much already been told you were getting the money, so I want to make sure that that happens. But in the future, I think we need to be covered by going through the DMOs.
And I would just, Commissioner May, if you're going to continue with your motion, please make sure that we outline what.
No, I mean, whatever the legal, I mean, listen, I'm not going to be in opposition of a clerk or attorney. Whatever the clerk and the attorney says, you know, that's the motion. And I will pull it back and listen to the attorney and the clerk, and they can tell us what the motion needs to be.
Pam, can you highlight and just cliff notes what you need?
I will send it to the county attorney. I actually have it written out. If you would like it, you can look at it.
Yeah.
And I'll just, I really don't want to discuss it here.
Okay.
I know that the past TDT MAAs, miscellaneous appropriation agreements, did put tourism dollars. This one is a little different. It's a lot more. It's going around policy. There's alcohol. There's just things that I think you should clean up in the agreement, and I think your county attorney can do that.
I'm
before
glad
you
we had
sign
this
it.
discussion because there were some
And all
folks
these
on the board
proceeds
that
go
had
to
issues.
Sacred Heart, correct?
This year's proceeds are really just to help build the event. It's a
Oh.
first-year event.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not really, Sacred Heart's not really getting any proceeds
We're
from
the
it?
arm, the hosting arm, yes. We're the ones that is leading, we're leading the event.
They're a sponsor though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you guys for being our guinea pigs and bringing some of this to light. We know it's hard, so we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I didn't mean to, but I think the disclosure here, the transparency is good for us. All right. Hey, is your motion stand, Commissioner May? Okay. Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure before you leave. So he's got a motion, you still second?
I second.
All right, please vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0. 227, is that correct, County Administrator?
That is correct. Stan McDaniels.
Okay, Stan, please come up.
This is a recommendation concerning mowing services for the Parks Department. And Stan, you have 233 and 234. If you want to stay there and address both of those as well.
Sure. Here on 27, I know we do a lot of contracting, with a lot of contractors here in Pensacola. I'm familiar with some of these contractors on this list, and this is definitely not any accusations towards these particular contractors, but I have seen some contractors in the past, specifically on the sidewalk project in Montclair and then up north of the paper mill. Chavers Construction did that project, and I would venture to say that not all of the workers that he was using were legal. And this brings me to E-Verify, and there isn't a funding arm at our state level for enforcing E-Verify. So maybe that's something our local commission here can address to make sure that the county tax dollars are not going to illegal immigrants. So that's what I'd like to say here on this. And it's not just the Chavers projects in Montclair and up north. It was also, I think, Centennial Roofing, the one project that was up in the north end of the county on the sheriff's roof up in Century. I happened to stop by there. I got some pictures of all the workers there. And I would venture to say not all of them were legal as well. So this is something that we do need some type of enforcement arm. If we have a law, it ought to be enforced. And so, maybe you can work with the sheriff or the code enforcement, or maybe even, the building department, so that they can go inspect these projects and verify that these workers have been through the E-Verify system. Work with our contractors to make sure these subcontractors of the contractors are actually legal workers. So that's what I have to say on that particular item.
Car 2-33, the contract award for library services platform software for West Florida Public Libraries.
The library. The library. All right. This is a lot of money in these two for the library. I actually happened to visit the library last year. My sons are homeschooled, even though I haven't seen them in over a year and a half. I think they're still homeschooled. I bought them some books called the Tuttle Twins. And I went by the library, and I tried to see about them purchasing these books. Actually, I wanted to donate a complete set that I had to the library. And they said what they would do with my donation is put those books on a shelf to sell for $1 a piece, and not put them on the shelf to rent for people to come get for themselves. And I was also told that I'm not the first person to request these books for the library. Also, at the new library over in Bellevue, I'm a little bit concerned with one of the workers there, and I'm wondering if it's really a woman. That's definitely the library that my sons go to on a very regular basis, and many children here in our community. I'm wondering which bathroom that particular person uses over there at that library. This is a lot of money. The Tuttle Twins books wouldn't be that much money. This massive amount you have here, $75,000 and then another $140,000. We're looking at less than $1,000 on a set of books. That could be in our library and teach our kids things like, the creature from Jekyll Island and many other great topics that affect our community and raising our children to be a part of this process right here. So I would really encourage you guys to look into the process of how people are able to, ask for books to be at the library, because we have so many other publishers that are starting to come up. This is an independent man who's living the American dream and having tons of success with his line of books from the Tuttle Twins. So I would encourage you guys to look into that process and why our community is not able to request books and get them on the shelves for people to check out, especially when it's not just me that's asking for it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're also at 234.
Yeah, that was
Security
33 and
cameras?
34. Those are both
Is
library.
that both of them for you?
Yeah, that was both the library
Hey,
issues.
Todd Humble's here, our library director. You may want to go outside and ask him about the process for books. I mean, I may answer your questions if you want to. Todd, if you could talk to him.
Yeah. And please check into that employee over at the Bellevue Library. Thank you.
Well, he's the supervisor. He can tell you that. Okay.
All right, yeah, we'll take a motion on 227, 233.
Well, hold on. Well, you want to just?
We haven't got to 34
Yeah,
yet.
you're done. Okay, motion on 227, 223. Got a second?
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 4-0 with Commissioner May off the dais.
234, Larry Downs, security cameras at West Florida Public Libraries.
I was waiting on Michael Kohler. Commissioner Kohler to call me up. I like that. I figured it was appropriate for me to wear my hat up here at this one here, the libraries. And like Stan just said, I wouldn't mind having do a book request, the real Anthony Fauci. I wonder if we have this in our libraries, because this is very telling for a man who got a Joe Biden pardon for being, a hero, convincing everybody to take the super secret sauce injections. $140,000, and I know the one previous to here was 75, but this is $140,000 for cameras. I'm assuming this is for camera installations and the purchasing, and probably, does it include any monitoring? How much is this going to keep, cost us to maintain? It's just, why do we need cameras at the library? Is there a big, people running up there to steal books? I don't understand. Is there a big security problem? Have people been getting in fights in the library? So, and I know y'all can't answer me, but it just seems like a lot of money. And it's constant money. Y'all know we spent $10-12 trillion in 2 years on COVID. And people will tell me, COVID's over, Larry. Would you stop talking about it? I'm like, do you know how long it takes to pay for $10 trillion? Our great-grandkids won't be done with it. and people just won't stop talking about it. The type of books he was talking about, the Tuttle Twins, that's awesome books. That would kind of, they would, in those books, they kind of talk about conservative, values. They kind of talk about being, frugal with your money. And they talk about, limited government. What we have here is not limited government. We don't even have one person up there behind any of those microphones. We don't have one man or woman. I'm trying to quit using persons. We don't have one man or woman up here. Maybe one, Mrs. Childers, maybe one, that is looking to get less government. It's almost unanimous vote all the time for more government. And I know it goes against y'all's, y'all's core beliefs, but you don't know how to stop it. Just got to say no. Just like drugs, just like vaccines, just say no.
Thank you, Larry. All right, can I get a motion to move car 134?
Second.
234, as I was. All right, please vote.
Unanimous.
It's 5-0. All right, Wes, we're on the card 3, right?
Car 3-1 is that the board appoint one of the following applicants to the Value Adjustment Board to serve a one-year term, effective retroactively January the 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. Your names are Derek Childress, Brandy Duplechain, and Sandy Hadaway. And Jose is passing out the ballots.
Right, and only vote for one?
Are any of these people here tonight, Mr. Chairman?
That's a good question. Is anyone on the Value Adjustment Board here that would like to present their case to the board? I don't see anyone. Okay, vote on the resumes then.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 votes for Brandy Dupolchain and 3 votes for Sandy Hadaway.
Okay, Sandy Hanaway will be our next value adjustment board member.
Move to appoint Sandy Hadaway to the Value Adjustment Board.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0.
Mr.
ECT,
Chairman,
right?
Yeah, recommendation concerning Escambia Children's Trust applicants. We have 7 applications. We need to appoint at least 2. Historically, we have sent all names or voted to send all names. We'll do whichever the board prefers.
I'm fine with sending all the names. That's what we've done. Does anyone on the board have an issue with that? Okay, make a motion.
I agree, but I also want to do a disclosure that Melanie Luna, the aide for District 4, her name is on here as well. So just want full transparency with everyone here and the community. And I second that motion. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, until the governor stops, I think anyone that submits their names, we should move forward.
I agree.
And I don't want to close it. I mean, I hope that we just keep it open until the governor appoints.
I'm fine with that. I agree.
Okay.
Please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Westward, Car 3.
R 3-3 is concerning appointments/reappointments to the Tourist Development Council. Madam Attorney, I don't know if you want to go over any ground rules for this committee or council?
Yeah,
So the way I understand this is there are 2 seats on the TDC that are currently up because you have 2 people current in serving in those positions and those terms are up. Each of those 2 people has asked to be reappointed. In order to reappoint them, you are waiving a policy because I think one of these has been on here 7 or 8 years, and the other one has been on there for at least a half dozen years, give or take. The makeup of the TDC is statutorily driven. You have to have at least 3 members of the TDC who are collectors of TDT, at least 3, but no more than 4. And the remainder, which is either 2 or 3, depending on how many collectors you have, must be only interested in tourism and not a collector. I believe that we had a form emailed out to the applicants, and hopefully we have that back from them, but it looked as though there were certainly several ways to get to the end and stay in compliance with the statute, so I don't know that it's going to be an issue, but just be aware that there is.
we have one speaker on this. Should I allow him to speak before the board?
Yes, please.
Okay, Tom Jardine, you're up.
All right. Hello, Tom Jardine, 1112 Via DeLuna, Pensacola Beach. I've been a citizen of Escambia County for 28 years, and I've been watching that TDC like a hawk for the last 3 years, and I don't like what I see. Yes, at least one of those current members who's up for an appointment has been here for at least 8 years on that council. There's not enough dissension on that council. It seems like they all vote in lockstep with Mr. Bear. I'm actually here. I put myself up for an appointment because there's nobody. I'm very happy that Ms. Hofberger is going to be on the on the governing body, supervising that council. But we've had no supervision of that council in the last 3 years, and nobody on that council has represented Pensacola Beach in at least 3 years that I've been watching. And Pensacola Beach brings in all of the money. I'm actually here. I put my name forward. But really, I'm advocating for we have one, I don't know how you guys should know about the darn Santa Rosa Island Authority. You all appoint one of the board members. 5 of the board members on the Santa Rosa Island Authority are appointed by you guys, and we have one elected official on the Santa Rosa Island. He doesn't report to any of you guys. He's the one I want to get on this Tourist Development Council. His name's Jeremy Johnson. He's a terrific guy. He is a realtor. He's been our one elected official on Pensacola Beach for the last. He runs for election, so he was elected 2 years ago, and then he was elected again like last year. He goes for election every 2 years, but all the leaseholders vote for him. The commercial and the residential leaseholders get to vote for, and he's now the one elected board member on the Santa Rosa Island Authority, and we need to have at least one member on that TDC representing Pensacola Beach. We bring in all the money on Pensacola Beach. 45% of the bed taxes are derived from Pensacola Beach. That's directly. Probably another 30% indirectly. I mean, all the people who are staying at those hotels on Airport Boulevard are here in Pensacola, in Escambia County, to visit Pensacola Beach. So Pensacola Beach brings in almost all the money. There's nobody representing the citizens on that Tourist Development Council. I could list a number of deficiencies with that council. I know doesn't really look great for somebody to come here and say all the problems, but even their roster has been wrong for 3 years. And they may say, well, we don't take care of the roster. There's 9 members on that council. They control $23.5 million a year, and that roster has been wrong for 3 years. Can't one of them pick up a phone and call somebody on staff and say, I mean, they should know who's on their roster. How come their roster's been wrong for 3 years? 2 of those TDC members allowed their appointments to expire. Mr. Reeves, I don't have anything against any individual on the council.
Tom, your time's up, but are you advocating for Jeremy Johnson over yourself?
Yes, definitely over myself.
That's good to know, because I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
Yes.
Do we have any discussion from the board?
I just want to say, going forward, as we're picking out candidates for this board and other boards, if we have new viable candidates, I would like to move forward with those versus waiving the term limits. I think it keeps things energized and it keeps the change up that was initially needed. So just my 2 cents on that.
Mr. Chairman, is there any other nominees that are here that would like to speak?
Well, I saw Ronnie Rivera was...
I know Brad Mullins. I think I saw Brad. There he is.
Is Brad here? Brad, come on. Whoever wants to speak that's on the list, please come on up, and we'll give you a minute to present your case.
Yes, thank you. Brad Mullenix, I've grown up in this area. I love the area. I've seen it change so much from downtown to just the whole surrounding areas. Have a background with working with strategic plans, budgets, thinking through things. Would love to be a help to the community and a service to the community if you guys so would have me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronnie, did you want to say anything, or? Okay. Is there anyone else that's, oh, come on up, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you.
Good evening, everyone. Jason Nicholson, 3088 Creole Way. In full transparency, I had some oral surgery yesterday, so I'm a little bit shaky at the dais right now. So I appreciate you giving me the time, Mr. Chairman. I've been in the tourism industry for going on, I guess, 32 years. Much of it in Escambia County. I work with Innisfree Hotels, and we currently operate in 6 counties in the state of Florida. I know very well the competitive landscape in our tourism economy. And what I think might be missing, or what I might be able to add to the Tourism Development Council, is the simple question of what is our competitive position? Whenever we have a proposal that's made before the Tourism Development Council, what's the return on that investment of tourism development tax funds? Former chair of Visit Pensacola, I currently serve on the Northwest Florida YMCA Board of Directors, as well as the Finance Committee. It'd be my honor to serve the citizens of Escambia County and the Tourism Development Council. I'd be happy to entertain any of your questions.
No, I appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Is there any further discussion on the board? I know I have a comment.
Yeah, I just have one question. Madam Attorney, we have a requirement for how many collectors?
The statute says you have to have at least 3 who are collectors and no more than 4. So there are 6 citizen members of the TDC, of which a minimum of 3 must be collectors, but no more than 4. And the delta between that number and 6 are supposed to be those who are simply interested in tourism but are not collectors.
Okay, so Jason clearly sounds like he's interested in tourism, but he's a collector, right?
I would identify him as a collector.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to, I struggle with this because I'm friends with Ronnie Rivera and Mary Hoaxing, but what Commissioner Hoffberger said, I couldn't agree with more. We have a policy, and I'd waive the policy if we didn't have qualified candidates, but for me, I think we do, and I think it's healthy. So I know that I will be voting for 2 new members. I ain't going to say who, but I will, because it's not, Ronnie, I'm against you. I just think that it disenfranchises citizens that want to get involved in their local government. And obviously, if we didn't have those folks, I would definitely vote for you. I just want to express that to you because I consider you a friend. All right, please vote. Do you have the numbers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please.
We have 2 votes for Ronald Rivera, 1 vote for Mary Hoxing, 1 vote for Jeremy Johnson, 3 votes for Brad Mullinex, and 3 votes for Jason Nicholson.
Okay. So do we have a motion for Brad Molnix and Jason Nicholson to serve on the board?
I make a motion for those 2 to serve on the board.
Is there a second?
I second.
Please vote. Motion passes 5-0. All right, thank you all, and good luck on the board.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay. Madam Attorney, we're on the county attorney report.
Yes, sir. There are 6 action items on tonight's county attorney's report. I can answer any questions that the board may have.
We have a few speakers on Cat 1-6. Could we, can we move 1 through 5 and then go to Cat 6, 1-6?
I make a motion to move 1 through 5 and hold 6.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote. All right, motion passes 5-0. I appreciate Baptist being here. I know you're waiting, but it looks like you're going to go forward with your bond, so good luck with that. All right, Cat 1-6. We have 6 speakers. This has got to go back with OLF 8. Zachary Campbell, you're up first.
Zachary Campbell speaking about OLF 8. And I thought we moved the ball quite a bit for the citizens of Beulah last month, and now I see this on the agenda. It seems as though we're, I don't know, sort of like a baseball game where the pitcher he can step off the rubber and delay the game. A batter can step out of the box. And just any kind of thing to have to keep the ball game going. I thought we were moving the ball last month. And I just don't know what it's going to take for us to just get this thing going. I would like to see the Board of County Commissioners move the ball on OLF 8, please.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Mrs. Cecilia Campbell. And then Teresa, you're after her.
Yeah, Cecilia Campbell, resident of Beulah, next door neighbor to OLF 8. Yes, we first of all, having been at the committee of the whole meeting this morning, maybe you need to bring your cowbell back.
I forgot it, I'm sorry.
You probably want to start turning microphones off after 2 minutes for each person. Let them really think about what they want to say and not repeat a lot of stuff we've heard over and over again. Because for us sitting here, we're thinking, I've heard that, sorry, Lumon May, I've heard that you do not want anything but ad valorem taxes on that land. I know that you don't want a school. I know that you don't want anything else out there. I mean, we know these things, but y'all have been tasked with a major thing for the folks in Beulah. And I personally really want our newly elected District 1 commissioner to be on any conversations dealing with this negotiation. I know that Commissioner Berry has a lot of experience, but the people of Beulah spoke very loud and clear. And a lot of people of Beulah were waving signs for Josh, okay? No, they did not pay me anything to wave a sign for Josh, but we felt like we really need a unified board. And I'm sorry, Ms. Hoffberger, I don't know much about you, I really don't, but the people of Beulah deserve the very best out there. And we are happy for you to negotiate with whoever that might be for one developer. We are not tied. We don't have a list of names of supporters for our position in as a resident of Beulah. We don't have big-name donors that we all know, because believe me, when people are looking at voting records and your donors, we notice that. And elections matter. They really do. And we were really counting on a fresh face going forward. So thankful for you, Mike Kohler. You have really made strides, and especially with the Committee of the Whole meetings, and you gave us such hope at your very first meeting that you presided over. So we want to see y'all take seriously what we want, and that is the DPZ design. As numerous citizens, and if y'all don't see this, but there are over 1,000, there are several groups that follow everything that goes on here. And whether it's up in the north end of the county with us, with those poor folks on Neal Road and McKenzie and all that, we follow these things, and they're watching the meetings, even though they can't be here.
Ms. Campbell, please finalize your
We just want you to move forward, and whatever it takes. I'm very thankful that Allison had already mentioned, why not 60 days? So we're just in good faith, hoping you're going to negotiate.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I appreciate your comments. Ms. Blackwell, you're up.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And I agree with Ms. Campbell. 2 minutes would be great. And since she already knows everything, I would want her to know that my name is not Luman, it's Lumen. And so, because if she knows my name, obviously she mispronounced it, but so, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lumen, ma'am.
And I get it, because we never know who watched the previous meetings, and people are continuously getting more involved and more interested. So I go back and forth, because I know we said a lot this morning. I'm like, do I need to say it all again? I don't know. So I do understand that.
Quite frankly, we've heard for multiple years the same thing from the same people, including Ms. Campbell. So, if we're going to have dialogue with my colleagues, we can have that.
Okay, thank you for your
That's right, and it shouldn't be this hard. We should not have to say this over and over again. Every bump in the road, we start looking at, let's get rid of the master plan. It's got to change. It's got to, it's very tiring for us too. We're sick of it. So now my time is going to start. Teresa Blackwell in Beulah. We have a master plan in our land development code. More than 1,000 of us contributed to that plan over years. It is the county's promise to us. I want to thank Brian Spencer this morning for talking about why we should follow a master plan, how a master plan can be golden. Other people do it, we can too. That's what they said in Lake Wales. The director of planning said, oh, they tell me they can't do it, and then they do it. So Steve, thank you for your voice of sticking to the plan. I don't personally care which developer does it, but they have to follow that plan. It was too hard fought, too hard won. And we are expecting that to. I can bring people out of the woodwork like roaches if that plan is challenged. There was some misinformation this morning, the fact of 18 months delay before you can do the next thing. That's not true. The plan says clearly that once you follow the sequence, when you get to 80% of one section, you can move on to the next section and start. So that just was not true. I think maybe they weren't communicating well on their team there of what their message was going to be. But our quality of life in Beulah does matter. You push the development out to us. We're more than 30,000 people. We don't have what a small town of 10,000 people would expect to have, would take for granted. I know you've heard that from me 50 times, and I'm sick of saying it. But I also think we have common interests on OLF 8. What will be good for the residents of Beulah will also be good for the development. The DPZ plan, that's your promise to us and to Navy Federal and to the rest of the business community. With its design code. The design code is not something extra we can throw away. The master plan is not just a pretty picture or 5 sections. That design code is what puts in the quality. We cannot abandon that. That is crucial. And I appreciate that Steve went to our session, the Beulah OLF 8 Strong, and he learned there. If only the rest of you had been there, then you would have understood all that sequencing, and you would have known too, Commissioner May. So I appreciate that, and Commissioner Sturberg, stay strong. The master plan with its design code is our only defense against the outdated strip shopping paradigm and tract home building like D.R. Horton has inundated us with.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your comments.
Thank you,
as always.
Commissioner Kohler, and I appreciate you moving this along.
Doing what we can. We're working.
No, I'm not telling you move it along. I'm saying I appreciate that you have been trying to move it along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and
I'm sorry,
Teresa,
Commissioner May.
Teresa, thank you for your being an advocate of living there, but still supporting affordable and low-income housing. You've been consistent with that.
You work with me, I work with you. I'll work on that.
You have been.
So,
you have been consistent
I
with
got to hear
affordable
more
housing.
from you besides Cronley and Florida West.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you've been consistent, and I do appreciate
Well,
you with the affordable housing.
It makes sense. It makes sense in a lot of ways to have housing there that people can afford. The traffic, it makes, those people don't have to go out on 9 Mile Road. They can walk to their job. They're they can support the town center. And we want diversity of everything. Right. I'm not against diversity.
Right.
So
no,
now you got.
No, I didn't mean to hold you up, Teresa, but I sincerely appreciate it because I think those people who are working out there, if they become servers or if they're working in maintenance,
whatever they are,
deserve to live in those nice neighborhoods
they do.
too. And you've said that, and I'm also consistent.
Yes.
I am also about low income and affordable housing there. So thank you. For
I
doing
am
that.
very much for that. They can live above the retail. You can have very small apartments, especially young people. If you think back to now, maybe you wouldn't want to live in 400 square feet. But when you're 18 or something, you're thinking, wow, this is cool. I got my own place. So that could be done. We have to have the developer willing to do that, but it makes financial sense.
Teresa, just in the interest of time, unless Commissioner May has more Commissioner Stroberger, do you have a comment? I'm sorry.
I just want to say that, back in December when I said that one day I want to be out there in my lawn chair with you and CC and Zach, enjoying what's happening, because we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I think everyone else is committed to the master plan too. I know that the group that we've selected that we're working with right now is committed to that master plan.
What about the design code? Have you asked them about that?
We got a lot of work
Get
to
to
do.
that.
We got a lot of work to do.
Get to
still.
that.
Yes.
Thank you
All right,
very
thank
much.
you,
I
Teresa.
appreciate it.
Keith, you're up next, please.
I want to make it clear I'm in District 2, but we all have the same vested interest, and I appreciate all of you up here, especially Ashley, because you and Steve are both tantamount to making this, a little bit of a different dais than what I was used to. The first 80% of Phase 1 has to be completed by October 2025. That's a stumbling block. That was a projection from November 2021. The only change we need on the master plan is to reset 2021 to 2025. Each one of the phases go in a 5-year increment to get done. So we're shortchanging the first increment of Phase 1 if we don't give it the same time frame. And that's the big stumbling block. Studio 850 has the meetings online. Everybody that hadn't been there, which is only 4 of you, probably needs to watch it. But, I've got family that lives in District 1, real close to that, so I am vested, but I want the money too. We've got a lot of funds to make up for, and I want our section of the money to go to the chairman. I want you to have, for District 2 and so on. But I think if we can just get over that, just the only change you need to do is the time allotment. Time is running out for the Phase 1, and then it changes. If we don't do that before Phase 2, then it changes. And it's very well explained. Go to Studio 850 or go to Olaf 8 Strong, and you can see it there too. So that's all I've got to say. And Steve, we really appreciate, and I appreciate, because I kind of learned it from following you around on the campaign, but I follow you. But you went through the whole process and you've seen it and you understand it. I'd say more so, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate your comments.
Or Commissioner Kohler, you're okay in my book, too.
Hey, that's nice. I like that warm fuzzy. Ryan Bell, come on up. Well, you've made some news today.
Hello, Commissioners. Yes, so was here this morning and listened to all the conversation. So my team has come up to match the $50 million, and we have not changed any other aspects of the contract. So we would love to start in 8 months, moving dirt to get the infrastructure in place. And the reason I'm doing that is because in the 2 years now that I've been softly negotiating this with a lot of different parties, I have shops, I have restaurants, I have a gym, I have a medical device company, and these have all been soft conversations because we're not under contract, and because the dynamic has changed a lot when it comes to the financial modeling for, are we going to have the whole field, or are we going to have half the field? So we're ready to get to work, and I know that Beulah Town Center technically has 3 days on the 30 days that you guys gave them, but based on the conversations that I heard this morning, sounds like things changed. So we're here. I just wanted to be present, and I can answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. I appreciate you sticking with us. This is a complicated process. As you know, we're in negotiations with Beulah Center. It'd be unfair for this board, in my opinion, not to continue down that road, at least where we are, but we'll see where we end up, and I truly appreciate you sticking with us while we go through this process.
Fair enough. I've signed the offer every time so that we can execute, and if we did that today, then I would meet that October deadline in the next 8 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Will Dunaway, you're next.
Mr. Chairman, how many speakers do we have after Will?
2.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will Dunaway, representing Beulah Town Center. I just indicated that if you had any questions, we were available. Mr. Brian Spencer's also here, but...
I had you on the speakers list, so I was just giving you your time if you wanted to say anything.
Yes, we appreciate it. I'm here for any questions.
Okay. Brian, do you have anything you want to say?
Thank you so much. Again, Brian Spencer. And just for the record, so that I could tell my 97-year-old mother the truth, I just left her where she lives at the Arbors in Gulf Breeze, and I said, Mom, I'm sorry I can't stay with you. I've got to return to the Board of County Commissioners, where I will be speaking. I have spoken. Thank you very much.
And those words matter to me, Brian. Thank you. And tell your mom to stay well. All right. Do we have a motion on 1-6, or is there a comment, guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind chatting for just a minute. I know we spoke this morning, but, you know, and we did speak at length this morning, but Mr. Bell came and spoke at the podium, and, you know, I'm sure we all received, we received his offer today, and, you know, what we talked about this morning as far as providing Beulah Town Center a red line back, I think that's fair, to continue conversations there. But, and I don't know if everyone had the opportunity to read the, the details of what came from, what came from Mr. Bell's office, but it's in the purchasers, the devil's in the detail of these types of things. And I will say the language in the purchaser's conditions to close were much more along the line that I would find favorable. There are still issues, but there's going to be issues with anything that we receive that's from a purchaser, especially a first time. Depending on what the will of the majority of the board, I'm good with supplying that red line comment back to red line comments back to Beulah Town Center, but if y'all would be open to it, I'd also be okay with having somebody in the county attorney's office kind of go through and put give some comments on the offer that came in from Mr. Bell's group, as well as, since we're in a public meeting, if we were to receive something from Tri-W or Jim Wilson Associates, however they're coding that, if we were to receive something from them, I'd also ask the county attorney's office to give some feedback about those as well. I don't see the harm in it. You know, we're going to be supplying the red line, you know, the red line comments, the red line copy back to Beulah Town Center. But, you know, I think where we all agree, even if we have different methods to get there, I think we all agree that we want a good project on the ground in some timely fashion. And I don't see how, you know, at least you made a comment, well, that may not be true. It was either Mike or Steve. You made a comment that Escambia County was open for business. It might have been you, Mike, or I'm sorry. One of the two of you said Escambia County was open for business and always will be, or something like that. And I think just being, you know, in receipt of that, giving Mr. Bell some, you know, some feedback that will come back to the board before it goes to them, but asking them to at least review it instead of just a passive receipt, as well as if we were to receive something from JWA, let's ask them to review that as well and give the board some feedback about it. To get something on the ground, it is going to come down to the terms in there. I know other things are important, but I don't think it's unreasonable for the board to kind of give that direction. If you know, if two or three of y'all might agree with that.
Commissioner Berry, I am fine, but though I would like to work with them at least for the 30 days. If we change the date to February 20th and then brought those things in, I just don't like to go back on my word. I know it's a few days with the snowstorm, but I do think we should at least give you what we had committed to, the 30 days. But maybe March 25th is too far out. Maybe we should change that.
No, I don't think that's too far out. I think that, I don't think that's a bad idea to do that, to consider the other offers again, I guess, but I think it's going to hinder the progress that we're trying to make now with Beulah Town Center. So I would be opposed to that, but I'll defer to you guys.
I mean, the next step is going to be a red line copy back to them. That may be the end of it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you know.
Do you think you guys could get work by the 20th? And then if something didn't go there, then we go back to negotiations with the other two? I just don't like going against the 30 days. That's the only thing where I'm
Well,
stuck
our
at it.
30 days is up the 9th, right?
Right.
Saturday. So, yeah, that's
A
the
deal's
9th.
a deal in my world. I mean, but, you know,
So the reason why we
So,
didn't-
Mike, I would agree with you. I mean, and I think I agree with you and Commissioner Berry. I mean, you know, you honor your word on 30 days, but you open up the negotiations to give everybody a chance. I mean, so I could live with what Commissioner Berry just said.
So, Commissioner Ray, are you saying honor the 30 days, and if that falls through, provide the directive to negotiate with any other contracts that might come in between now and the next board meeting?
I would say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. All I'm saying is to ask him to provide some comments on what came in from Mr. Bell's group, as well as if we were to get an offer from JWA or Tri-W or anyone else. I mean, or especially those three. There's been a lot of vetting of the three folks that have made proposals that have been here multiple times. And if they were to send something, I don't see the harm in asking them to put a little bit of staff time into identifying what the issues may be. There are going, in my opinion, there are going to be issues with what Mr. Bell sent. They're going, if Will Wilson's group sends an agreement, I believe there are going to be issues with that. If we're to get something, I think it's reasonable to say, if we're in receipt of something, let's devote a little bit of staff time to identifying what the gaps may be in there. It doesn't affect anything we talked about this morning. It's just proactively saying, look, you know, making sure that it is apparent that we are open for business.
I would agree with that, and part of the reason we were not the first ones to change the negotiation terms, it was initially on $50 million, and I think when that got reduced, that gives us a little bit of room to change as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still
would you be willing to do the 20th and then still state the stuff in? I agree with some of the stuff the board's saying. I think we missed the deadlines. I don't want to not give you the 30 days. I realize we had a snowstorm. It was different. I think we can get this moving pretty fast if we want to get it done. It's all a matter of will.
Well, maybe. Or maybe when we redline the response, there's not going to be a response to that.
But we're only talking 2 weeks.
The issue, Mike, is that the terms that have resurrected in the current iteration of the agreement are the same terms that were problematic iterations before in different versions. And maybe this will be the red line response where those terms don't get put back in, perhaps. Maybe not. I'm just saying that
I think I'm pretty close to where you're at. I just want to honor my word. You know, that's the only thing. I think that we should give them the 30 days chance at least. And I don't think 2 weeks is a problem for me. And I still think we should take stuff in from the other two, but work solely till the 20th with Beulah Town Center.
So you think that it's problematic to ask them to ask the staff to at least review what came in and provide feedback to the board about what may be problematic in those submittals? I don't think that's problematic at all. I mean, I wouldn't think that. But.
Are you making a motion?
I was kind of just asking Mike that. I don't see what the harm is in that, but.
Well, okay,
And
if
the
the
county
motion
attorney's
is
not here
just to
on the 20th.
receive and review, but still honor what we did with Beulah Town Center to the 20th, I can live with that.
Yeah, we're not negotiating. I mean, I'm curious, personally, what the feedback would be. I mean, the agreements are long. When we got it, late this afternoon, I went directly to the part that referred to the purchaser's conditions to close, and then to the partnering on the master development part. That's the two parts that I saw that were most problematic in what we have. So I went directly to those. I didn't read the whole 50 pages. I mean, I
didn't either.
So I went to
too
the two
late.
parts I knew to look at, and I'm just kind of saying I would find the feedback valuable on that in the next couple of weeks. Allison's not here. She's not here with us physically on the 20th, but
she's got lawyers that can help.
And Mike, look,
it can still
I'll
be
support
reviewed,
it.
and we can just get some feedback. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking. I don't think it's problematic to get feedback.
Yeah.
But I heard someone say they've heard everything we've said, and I've heard myself, because we talked about this over and over again. All I would say, I can support Commissioner Berry, but if this doesn't work, we got to get some fresh eyes and somebody that does this every single day to get this, moving.
I heard that today at lunch with Mr. Cronley. Said the same thing to me.
Well, Mr. Connolly is a smart man, in my opinion. But I mean, at this point, I'm willing to, support my colleagues and move it forward. Obviously, Beulah is the forerunner, and go. Whoever gives the best proposal and go forward, that's where it is. And so I'm glad people heard what I said, because I'm consistent in what I say. And so I've never changed, my position, and I'm going to always keep the same position. I'll be consistent in my messaging of what I believe. And so, I'm sure each developer has heard my position loud and clear, and I'm only one vote, so that one vote may make a difference and it may not. But that's what we are. And if we open up those doors, I mean, I think I hear Commissioner Holberger and Commissioner Berry saying that they support that, and I don't see the harm in it, and I would support it. And, I don't have any dog in the hunt other than,
Will, can I ask Will or Brian a question?
We're still just negotiating with Beulah Town Center. We're not
Yeah.
asking them to negotiate with any other groups. We're just asking for some feedback on the contract that came in.
No, I
don't see how
actually
that's problematic.
like where you're at. I just want to give them their ample time. Will, you could tell the board is, they want to get to something sooner than later.
Yeah,
2
so does
weeks
Beulah
is-
Town Center, Mr. Chairman, and you have our PSA. We're simply waiting for, a red line version back. I mean, that, we have submitted we've submitted 2 PSAs during the last 27 days. So we're now waiting for your staff to provide feedback. I was in conversation with the county attorney earlier
Just
today.
point of clarification for me, because you said that you submitted something and you've had a delay in our staff responding.
No,
back
sir.
in.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, okay.
What I said was that the question was, what can we get done? We're waiting to get that done now. I mean, no, sir. I'm not putting anything back on your staff. What I'm saying is that after the motion this morning, we were in conversation with the county attorney. We know that we are anticipating, she's indicated we're going to get a red line version back. We know that she's not physically here for the next 2 weeks. We've already scheduled out times, or we've looked at times for the week that she returns. I'm available all week, the week after that, and the following. So the next step is to hear back from staff on the red line version, and then we respond. That was what the negotiation process is. We have submitted our written contract. Now we're waiting for that, and we're ready to negotiate with those terms.
I would feel, I feel comfortable. I totally agree with what you're saying. I have no problem with review and with the staff. I would just ask the board to get them to February 20th, and then at that point, if we can't, I think that's fair.
The reason why this morning we said March 25th is because Commissioner May is not going to be here on the 6th, and our attorney was going to be gone on the 20th. So I don't know why we're going backwards again. This is the definition of gridlock. We have something here that we can be voting on. Let's vote on this.
We didn't have a $50 million
We don't have
bid
anything
come
we
in.
can vote.
No, but this is what we agreed on. This is what we were going to vote on. If we're not going to vote on it, I don't know what we're doing.
Get a motion in a
If it helps, I'll
second.
be on the 6th. I'll be on the 6th. If it helps, I'll be on the 6th.
Commissioner Barry or Commissioner May?
They
would like
need to have
on
at least
that?
30 days. I think that's the fair thing to do.
Commissioner May, I didn't hear what you said.
be on the 6th. I'll be here. Initially, I was not going to be here, but I'll be here if that helps.
Are you changing the date to the 6th?
I'm not changing anything. I'm going to be on the 6th.
I don't know how the
Commissioner
date
Barry,
got
help
changed
me out
to the
here. What?
20th.
I make a motion that we proceed with the initial 30 days that we gave them. After that 30 days, we proceed to negotiate with any other offers that come in, and we get briefed on those at the next Board of County Commissioner meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote. All opposed? Motion passes 4-1. And then we're negotiating with everybody, so I guess that's where we ended
Well,
up.
I mean, they're still going to get the red line copy back. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not.
I would have liked to give you a little bit more, but yeah, I see where the board is, and we've got to try to get there with you, so, thank you. All right, that concludes tonight. Is there any other announcements for any of the commissioners? If not, this meeting's adjourned.